Perfect. All right. And after game on, and there goes one of our lights. Party foul.
You noticed it got dark?
Yep. Thankfully, those things are durable.
Sorry, Mario game story, so it's live.
Oh, geez.
Oh, geez.
There's still. Oh, that's why it's hot, Dill.
The lights.
Hot Dill pickle.
Hot
Why is it
deal.
6 carbs a day?
Some hot deals.
6 isn't that bad.
6 isn't bad, but.
Mine is like 0 carbs. I don't even, yeah. I probably don't even hit 25 every day.
Hot deals. All right, so let's maybe.
Oh, yeah, I know. Me neither. I get about
Make
5
sure that works.
sometimes.
Yeah.
It's probably not good, though.
There we go. Here.
You know, I can go up to 50 and still stay in because I've been on so long.
Yeah.
Boring talk. Sorry.
Okay.
Me and Chris.
So this kind of started as Joel wanting like to interview me just kind of off the cuff without even getting it on film or anything. He just wanted to know more, and we just started talking stories. And he asked me like what my life in Hawaii was like, and I told him how I kind of grew up and I had like a test market Nintendo that could play games that no other Nintendo could. All the kids that had relatives in foreign countries like Japan and Hong Kong, what's in their kids' games, and they couldn't play them on their Nintendo, but they'd let me borrow it, and I said, hey, it works just fine. So I inherited a whole bunch of these Nintendo games that no one else could play, and that's how I got to play Dragon Quest 3 and like Macross and a bunch of other stuff, Double Dragon, before anybody else did. And I guess we just started talking about our early experiences, and I guess we started talking about the TurboGrafx.
That's
and,
where the conversation all wanted.
And then we were like, why aren't we like documenting this? We should like scream it or something.
Yeah, so
I talked about ease.
all
and
0
how,
people who are here, thank Chris for
Hi.
Hi, zeros.
hi zeros. Seriously, no one's hopped on.
No one's on?
It is Sunday night, so.
I haven't gotten like a notification yet.
No?
I got the notification.
Oh, there we go, guys.
Send me a link so I can tweet it out too.
Tweet it out.
I didn't
What
get
it-
it either.
Here, you're gonna have one in now. Me.
I think that's why.
Huh.
No one got the notification for it.
Damn it. Sometimes that happens.
Really?
YouTube doesn't tell anybody that it go live.
Let me share it.
I got Twits in Discord.
You got the notification, all right?
I didn't.
I
I got
didn't.
the one from yesterday though. I got the
didn't
two
either.
from yesterday when when it went down and then when it went back up. I got that one, but I
So
didn't get
there's
this one.
Let me tweet.
This Cyrus.
What's the charge?
Then again, my phone might be getting anything.
Actually, Jesse hopped onto the stream. There's one person, I'm pretty sure that's Jesse.
It's all good.
We're still documenting it, it doesn't matter. If
Yeah,
anyone's
we're
here.
documenting it. You know, you guys can keep it,
Mhm.
you know, in archive or whatever.
No,
Oh,
don't
it'll
watch
get-
it later.
Game stories, you know, from the day after Game On Expo. So yeah, we started talking about ease and how I was in high school and well, kind of high school. It was during lunch, and the advisors in the computer room would let me plug in my game systems, and we would play Motor Order with 5 players. And I didn't have 5 good controllers; I had 4 good controllers and 1 bad one that I had Frankenstein together with pieces from
I don't
NES
even know that
controllers.
game either.
It's an overhead racing game.
Yeah.
Five
Motor
players. That's kind of like it's overhead. It's like more like Micro Machines in a way.
Yeah, it's overhead race. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's got really good music. Some of the best music on any game system.
Really?
Not just Turbo, but any game system. Really good stuff.
In the history of ever.
Have you played it, DJ?
No.
It's so good. Well, you guys are all gonna get TurboGrafx minis, and it comes on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Good choice. I'm really glad they got good Messiah stuff on there. And the mini has 2 USB ports, so you automatically get 2-player action. But I mean, it's fun with 1 player even. And it has like hot animated babes as the race queens and stuff like that. So I appreciate
A
it.
must buy.
Yeah.
Must buy.
Oh yeah. Oh, I bought it like 3 times, 4 times. So yeah, we would play that during lunch, and whoever would come in 5th place would get the crappy pad that was taped together and had NES parts on it and stuff like that, even though it was for the PC Engine. Eventually, Ease 1.2 for Turbo CD came out, and even though I had an import system, I could run the TurboGrafx games on it in CD format. So I would be playing Ease 1 and 2 at home, and then school would happen after the weekend, and I took the system to school, and I continued my game in the computer room during lunch. And the day that I got to Darm Tower and I was gonna fight Darkfact, like the room was full of like 15 kids, and our eyes were glued to the screen, and I beat Darkfact, and it showed that cutscene where Adol's like shooting into the sky, and it has Lilia running over the hill, and it's just that epic scene that everybody remembers between East 1 and 2. And I made, 20 kids late for class that day because we were just all glued to the screen, and the teachers that ran that room were okay with it, playing a video game, at lunch, and then making everybody late for class because they just loved it so much too. So that was my E story, and then Saru went on to tell his E story. If you want to recap and before we go on.
They've heard it.
Oh, yeah.
Says sips juice box quietly.
Who's this?
Someone named Night Saber.
Sips the juice.
Night Saber.
Yeah, I mean it's probably late for you guys.
Mhm.
Some of you.
It's
Yeah, some of y'all.
super late.
So yeah, we talked about E's, and then did we talk about anything after that?
I
So
want to
you-
hear Joel's
you- well,
story.
you were telling-
right about to get
You
into
were about
it
to get into
before
the
Yeah.
orders.
we decided we were gonna stream.
Right. Okay.
Well, it's funny because I didn't even know Eve was on the TurboGrafx 16.
Wow.
And
That's way
so,
listening to
having played it on the Master System, it's a huge jump. It's crazy how different.
Yeah, I'd also played it on the Master System.
Mhm.
I played, my trifecta was like Miracle Warriors, Ease, and Phantasy Star. Later on I played Govelius, but Ease was really, I thought it was different. The combat was better than turn-based RPGs because, I didn't have to like go through menus and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But going from like an above average game to like the best game I'd ever played in my life, even though it's like the same game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
I was telling him it's kind of like that guy who was it THX,
Yeah.
the guy in the chair,
Oh yeah.
and it's like just being blown away. That's what it was like going from the Master System to the TurboGrafx 16.
Sarah's face when he heard the music and eased the first time.
It was just like,
And I
Face
was
just melted.
I loved Master System growing up. If you haven't seen my Mystic Defender Spellcaster episode, like Spellcaster was, man, I love that game, and it's brutally hard. It's brutally hard, and I love Mystic Defender. I love Mystic Defender on the Sega Genesis. But I remember seeing the commercial for the TurboGrafx 16. I remember seeing Legendary X, and I was like, and that boss, that one really big boss. Sadly, that's the only really big boss on that game. But I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. I gotta get this. And the story I was about to tell before we went streaming was I had a Super Nintendo, and I'm really bad at years, like what year it was. You guys are like kicking up. It's 90 something. I don't know. I did way too many drugs. Burned that part of my brain, you know.
I actually correlate the years in my life to what games came out that year.
Yeah, see, I
So,
can't do that.
Yeah.
I burnt those cells
Through running
years ago.
podcasts, I've like kind of been able to rekindle like when things happened.
You make those
around.
books that are year based, so
Yeah.
you got that whole chronology just
I
like
got
he
a,
did.
I got a weird chronology where I can be like, oh yeah, that was 92, or
Yeah.
that was 89. And
Mhm.
like my turbo story was different because I actually never had a turbo, but the neighbor kids 2 doors down were the kids that had every single system coming out. So I'd sit there, go over there, get yelled at because my parents were like, you gotta get home. And I'm like, no, go ahead and ground me. I'm playing Bonk's Adventure, or I'm playing Keith Kurtz and Alpha Zones. Or my favorite was Tricky Kick. I could actually run through that entire game. Like, for some reason,
I didn't know that was your favorite
that
game.
game like clicked with me.
That was in the auction like
Yeah.
last night.
Yeah, I saw
I thought about it, but then it was like my friend Justin like wanted, so I was like I'd have to fight him if I wanted it anyway. I
It's
was
just a
get it done.
super cool game, and like so I never actually played Ease or anything until much later. And I would do a New Year's Eve game. I actually played the entire Ease book 1 on New Year's Eve, like all the way up until midnight, and then I saw the rise. Like it was just such
Yeah.
a cool thing, and
Yeah.
I actually never got into book 2.
Really? Ever?
Since it is,
Still
and
to this
my
day?
save's still on my PC
What about the
Engine
newer
2
ones,
R.
like 8?
I mean, I have them all sealed because I love the series, and absolutely. I actually got Ease 4 at the convention
Today.
for the PC.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Yeah. And I obviously I have the English translated version where they actually did the voice acting on it, which to me is like super
yeah, I still need to
cool.
go through that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy who actually did the localization sent it to me, like a special version of it. So I need to play it.
And man, how many years has it been now? Sorry that you've been poking and prodding at me to get to a TurboGrafx PC Engine complete book.
at least
At least 3 years, and I've been writing Genesis for 2, and I keep on having these Virtual Boy April Fool's jokes that get funded, and then Switch collector books, but like I need to get to the Genesis Turbo. Like that's all of my like childhood.
Revenge of Shinobi, man.
Oh my god.
That's my number one.
So
That's
is
my number one game.
Nefarious West actually has it. Nefarious West. However, he's doing a bunch of reviews. So he's like,
Well,
hey,
I
you
know
wanna give
Nefarious.
one?
If you ask,
I'm like,
like,
hey,
I'll
man.
reach out to him and say,
Like,
hey,
hey,
Hello,
man, you wanna
everybody.
Give up one? Give up one over
That's
to
what
Joel.
they said. They said, hello, everybody.
Hello, Greg. Hello, Greg.
But here's the thing. I'm playing the Super Nintendo, and I love the Super Nintendo, but
Yeah.
I honestly I don't love it like everyone else loves it. Like
Me neither. I love it.
every day of the week it'll be a Genesis game rather than a Super Nintendo. Like if I want to play some, I never like go to the Super Nintendo like most people do. I don't. That's not
For
me.
me, that was Turbo.
Yeah.
Turbo CD.
Yeah, same here.
And so I got bored. You know, I went through Mario World and Castlevania, and I was like, this is so weird because this is not me. I went fishing. There was a little pond outside the apartment complex. Went fishing. This other kid comes up, and he's fishing, and I started talking about the Super Nintendo, and he goes, "Oh man, I got this stupid TurboGrafx 16. My
Stupid
dad
Turbo.
bought it for me. I hate it." And I was just like, well, "Do you want to trade?" You know? And honestly, at that point, he might have been getting a better deal because, but
I'm sure he
Yeah,
thought he was
Not
getting
now.
Yeah,
I mean,
not now. I'm
Well, I
sure he
don't
thought
have
he
it
was
now.
getting a better deal though,
yeah,
for sure.
but historically, like in the day, everybody was playing the Super Nintendo.
yeah.
But everybody who had a Turbo loved the Turbo.
Not this kid.
The fact that I got to play it was like amazing to me. Just that I got to play at the neighbor kid's house. You know?
This kid was like selling it like he got the short end of the stick. And when I offered to trade, he ran to his house and he came back so fast. And for a second I was like, damn, should I do this? Like, you know what I mean? Like this is like, but I was like, no, because I had said, do you have a legendary axe? Yeah, I have a legendary axe. I was like, okay,
Oh.
this is the one I want to play. I didn't even know Ease was on there until I opened the box, see the attachment,
Oh wow.
Ease,
Holy sh!
and I was like,
Oh.
wait a minute, what?
You
And when,
never
like I
know.
said, when you go from Sega Master System to the Turbo version,
He just didn't know yet.
He just
No.
He never found out.
and honestly, he was younger than me. And I'm not saying I took advantage of it, but like,
took candy from
this was, yeah, I will say this, that dude
In
was
that
happy.
time, though,
He was super
Yeah.
duper
in that time,
happy.
yeah.
Super Nintendo, you know, it was new and
I mean, in all reality,
He probably
The TurboGrafx
still loves
was
that
already
deal.
out-
He'll
yeah,
probably
out
brag
the
He
way.
probably does.
did.
Like he's probably not like me. He's probably like, I remember one time I traded this stupid kid for a
Yeah.
Super Nintendo. But man, when I played the Turbo, I was like, this is it, man. This is so this like Sega Genesis and TurboGrafx 16 had the games that I wanted to play. You know?
Now, one thing I was saying to off camera was I actually got a modded Turbo Express here. Jared, the wizard, brought it for me, and he actually has, it's an LED screen. It is a battery mod, so it's rechargeable, and you hold start and you do a switchless region mod on it.
Nice.
For the Turbo Express. So you can literally, and he said he put in a RC car battery, so it should last like 30 hours or something ridiculous. He said it should like go forever. And so obviously I got it because I'm planning on doing a turbo book so I can play it like on the go,
Yeah.
like perfectly, and not eat up all my batteries. I did that with the Nomad last year,
Yeah.
except for
Oh, Jesse.
I'm only in
can you
this.
put the battery into this? Sure.
Yeah, I was showing them the video I made of the super ultra modded Nomad that I made.
Yeah.
I modded
Seen
it
it?
for 32x.
It's crazy, right?
Oh yeah, one of the double
Yeah.
battery.
You've been
pack,
asking me
32X, and then I
if you need to
actually
insist to go
control
down.
Yeah, no, yours is,
Yeah,
is super
so it's
cool.
not-
Yeah, mine's really simple, like it's same thing, battery.
But convenience is really the thing. You pick it up and you got every game on there,
Oh, you
then
can describe
you know you're gonna be able to do your work better.
Yeah, and I do the EverDrive, so that way I
Yeah.
can play them all on the fly and all that.
Yeah,
You know, I'm
that's
gonna
how
go
I
way
set up
down the
stuff.
rabbit hole though, of course, I'm gonna cover every region and all everything, because that's what I do.
So just so
It's all, you know, the history of it too, like, the fact that nobody's compiling these type of things just blows my mind, and it's like, well, I'm just gonna keep going as long as people.
You're gonna have a bigger
It's
market
awesome.
for it now with the mini out.
Oh, yeah.
you guys said that.
Well, by the time I release the book, it'll be.
How many viewers do we
You
have?
got like.
Did they not
until
send out the
March,
thing?
So.
Can you send
Well, I
me
mean,
the
March.
link?
Nine.
It's gonna be out till March.
Well, I'm just saying though, like,
I
it's
mean,
Oh,
we got-
9? That's not bad.
Hi.
hello.
Not considering that most of the people who watch are on the East Coast.
So,
In East Coast?
yeah. So you were telling me your favorite
Yeah.
JRPG is Fantasy Star. That's my second.
That's are like
That's
1
my-
and 4 kind of tied.
Yeah.
And Ease. Lately, I've been having more of an appreciation of Ease as a series. So like Ease 1, 2, Ease Origin, and Ease 8 are like my favorites. And
I'm
those
so
are
mad
my-
at myself for only having played Ease Origin like within the last year for the first time.
It's okay. It's a great game. Doesn't matter
It's
when you play it,
amazing,
yeah.
but when I'm playing, I'm like,
It's the one game that gives me the same feeling I got when I went through 1, 2.
yeah.
And it
It's
has
very,
like so
like-
much ties to the history. So after I beat Ease
Oh,
8,
dude, it's so good.
Because I have it.
I'm not
I have the
kidding.
big box version. I just haven't opened it because I'm doing all the.
Can I just say that
tiny-
big box version is garbage?
yeah.
That was the worst collector's.
Is it?
Yeah,
I haven't
Oh
opened
my
it yet.
gosh,
I
I
haven't
was
Poster in a
so
box.
I was
That's all it
so
is?
disappointed.
All it is.
I thought there was a bunch of goodies in
No.
there.
Yeah.
No
No,
soundtrack.
open it up.
The
Don't
worst
be
thing
blasphemous.
is, how could they not have a soundtrack?
Soundtrack.
With East, you have to have a
Exactly.
soundtrack CD.
I expected a
Thank
CD.
you.
of
Why
it.
would there not be one? That doesn't make any sense.
Oh,
What's funny
man.
was there's a store in my area called User Side, and they sell all the pre-order crap for $1 in a bin. And I got some Ease CDs that way because they were like
Nice.
pre-order bonuses, and that's my Ease Origin CD sound, fake but real CD soundtrack that
Yeah.
Limited Run denied me.
It's so weird.
I
that
know.
Oh, we
Limited
have all
Run will
kinds
put
of
out
people here.
such a.
It's the worst. It's literally.
You never know, man. You don't. I mean,
In fact, I haven't even opened it to see if it has a manual or not. 'Cause sometimes they put a blank piece of paper in there.
I can't remember. I could check. and
Hey,
tell you.
Crazy KC, thanks for stopping by.
I know something that's super
I'm
rare.
just saying,
My
I
full
would-
manual was like a piece of paper.
Fake
Gundam
paper.
Russ says
Yeah,
I'm
really?
hungry for
Or a piece of
snacks.
paper with
Yeah,
like
I
safety
can see
precautions or something. I'm just like, visit the website. And it's like, why even put that in
Yeah.
there?
that. Yeah, I
That's
don't
just
think
insulting.
notification went out.
Ease is my favorite, and then Fantasy Star would be my second, and then Final. Well, you know what? Fantasy Star and Final Fantasy always go back and forth. I'm always like,
I always go back to Fantasy Star. I'm like Johnny. Like,
Yeah.
I love Final Fantasy 6 and Chrono Trigger. Those to me are made the Super
I've
Nintendo.
never played Chrono Trigger.
It's really good.
Never.
Mine's Chrono Trigger.
Is it?
All the way. Oh yeah, absolutely. I
Snacks.
love that.
What if I played Chrono Trigger and it was like, this is so much better than Ease?
Nah,
And I've
you
never
won't be.
played
You won't.
No.
You won't. But like, it won't take the place. What it's really great about Chrono Trigger is it complements other RPG experiences perfectly.
Okay.
To me.
Yeah.
I mean.
And to me, Ease 8 actually gave me the feeling that Chrono Trigger did, where I love each of the characters and they're distinct and they're like friends that I hung out with on this big adventure, and I don't want the adventure to end because that means I can't hang out with my friends.
I'll tell you
and
what.
Chrono Trigger was like that.
They're all worth
Ease
playing.
8, they
Yeah.
went deep.
Kid you can
They
say,
went
hey
deep
fellas,
with those,
greetings and salutations from Tokyo.
Hey, man.
What's up, Mr.
Kid Short,
Kitcher?
he's gonna
Chirukin.
hook me up with that Fist of the North Star on the
Nice.
PS2. Thank you, sir.
Very cool.
I appreciate that.
Very
Big
cool.
time.
Oh, look at it.
Uh-oh.
We got Benjamins.
Oh, yeah.
Is it just Benjamins?
Just Benjamin.
Is Benjamin Button?
Russ is not one.
Aww. Is he tired?
He's tired?
Yeah.
Man, I mean, we've all had like a long weekend.
So
huh?
why don't you
We're
come,
live.
come in this circle here, push that against that, and then just sit over there.
Come in the circle of trust.
But I wanna know what's your favorite JRPGs or RPGs? You?
For me?
Oh, you said Chrono
So
Trigger.
I love Chrono Trigger. I'm a huge action RPG junkie though, but like for just traditional, like from the
Maybe put it on
the
the
time
table.
Nintendo Power talked about it, Super Mario RPG to me was just like amazing.
How's that?
There you go.
Time-based action. Yeah, you gotta do. Sit there, time the defenses, the attacks, avoid different hits and things. I love that. It's a little mainstream, obviously, but I enjoyed it so much growing up that it was like I always go back.
Hey, County.
My Super Mario RPG, my experience with that was amazing because I had my wisdom teeth pulled out and they gave me the good stuff.
Oh, nice.
And I played that thing high as a kite. And I was like, this might be the best RPG ever. You know? But it is the one that I recommend always to people who've never played. If you've never played an RPG, I always say, play this one.
And it's really what, like, to me, started that classic Nintendo humor that you see in all the newer style games. Like, where they're all being a little crazy
Yeah.
and Toad's running around and doing the old man Toad, which is not Toadsworth, but like the old man Toad. And you had all of that
Hit a game.
humor. I think he does
Yeah,
have
I
it.
think, but I might be wrong.
There's a lot of that that's translated now into the Mario series. I think they kind of originated with Square's writing of the characters.
Right.
DJ, what's your favorite?
He's hands down.
Gee, I still haven't gotten played.
What if you had to split
Really?
between?
Yeah,
You haven't played these?
no.
It's okay, man.
It's like,
Hurts a
probably
little.
will just
Hurts a little
think
bit here.
about buying the mini when it comes out.
Excellent.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
There's gonna be no thinking. Actually, it's thinking which version I want.
I wonder if people are, what people are gonna think because it's not that traditional combat, you know, like that,
Mhm.
you know, that
Like
they're used
what?
to.
Yeah, because
I'm like running into shit.
Like
that's
running
it?
into people, like it's kind of counterintuitive to how games are played today, like an action RPG.
So there's a game for the NES since I did my oddities book. It's called Quest Forge, and it's created by Ludosity. And that game has Ys style combat where you run into characters, and it's a very short game comparatively to Ys. Not really much of a story, but it's really cool. It was
I've never heard of it.
yeah, it was published by Pico Interactive, so a lot of
Oh.
people boycotted it. But like literally, Ludosity didn't really like. He was disappointed that he got the backlash because he loved like putting out that game.
I know of another oddity that has a combat system like that. Emerald Dragon on the PC Engine and Super Famicom
So it's,
is an overhead map, and you move your character,
yeah,
and you just tap in the direction, and you run into them,
okay.
and then that's how you attack.
Oh, that's neat.
So
That's
it's
like,
like-
that's like a roguelike.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
And then if your stats are high enough, they'll take damage. And if they're
Happy
lower,
console
you get
gamers in
weak
the
damage.
chat.
Happy
He
console
said-
gamers.
He said you guys need to quit playing games and get a life.
Never.
I need
Don't
to-
listen. He doesn't even know nothing about TurboGrafx. Don't listen.
I know.
Good
I think
hobby.
Happy Console Gamer is the least knowledgeable when it comes to TurboGrafx.
Yeah.
How about that?
He's just gonna be bored watching this.
I know.
Let's just tell. He should probably go.
Yeah.
We need to send them like all the copies
I
of Double
can't, he
Dragon.
says.
Yeah. He knows nothing about you.
He's like, quit playing video games, too satanic.
Saying Pac-Man's evil.
Because you can say Star Ocean Second Story is one of the best and most underrated JRPGs ever.
Love that game.
Thoughts?
I was gonna try to attack Star Ocean 4. I bought it 4 times, and it's been on my backlog forever.
Me too. I have a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I really
Oh,
love
dude,
them.
I got all the Star Oceans on my backlog.
Yeah.
My backlog is so fast. That's why I do books now, so I can
Do
play.
you have a favorite
I
RPG?
can play everything.
Yeah, actually another one
So
where
that's why I do
where you
streams.
run into your opponents
No,
is
it's like-
Earthbound.
Get it.
I've never played Earthbound either.
Or Mother, yeah, Mother and Mother 2.
At least if I'm streaming, I have an excuse.
I'm
I'm
telling
doing
you,
it for the cheap
Yeah.
stream. I'm doing
that's
it for
why,
the channel.
the reason why I haven't played Chrono Trigger, the reason why I haven't played
I love Chrono Trigger
Earthbound is because I was a Sega Genesis kid,
too.
man.
Oh, yeah.
I played Sword of Vermilion. Have you ever played Sword of Vermilion?
No.
That
I
is
never
an
got-
amazing.
I was a big Nintendo kid. So
Except when you're on the
I got to
map,
play
it's-
Sega stuff. So.
Oh, JP Switchmania is on.
Oh, JP is. You need to retweet us. So
Hi,
we can get the-
JP.
We get the Switch Media archives
Yeah.
over there.
Retweet us. Retweet us.
Be sure you can say
We want more ears on the Switch. There we go.
But I
Did you
had
say no love for Dragon Quest?
Yeah, Chris
No,
Tang
no,
said
I have
that.
mad love.
Chris Tang said Dragon Quest sucked.
Joel.
That's the Joel.
well, I played Dragon Quest 3. I never played a JRPG before. I was just like, I'm moving this character around, screen flashes, and then next thing I know, I'm pulling around coffins, and that was the whole game to me. That's all it was.
Pulling around
I'm like, what is this? Like,
Garbage.
I couldn't understand it. I didn't know Japanese at the time. But I thought it was kind of cool that I could play a Famicom game and no one else could at that time in 1988, 1987.
But you've gone through the Dragon Quest since then.
Nah,
No?
I kind of sour. No, I was like, I want to pull around.
Dude, you gotta play 7. You gotta play 5.
Yeah, I'm sure those are great. I have the Warriors.
Oh, nice.
Thanks.
I even love
Thank
1
you,
and 2,
JP.
man. That is,
Desert Rest? No, I haven't played the Trails of Cold Steel
So,
games, but they are
interestingly-
on my list
So
because
I got Dragon
I did
War
play
with
like
Nintendo Power subscription.
Oh, everybody did.
Yeah.
They're trying to get rid of
And,
those.
and
What
so
are
like
those
I was playing it,
Legend of Heroes,
I
all the other
did
Legend
not
of Heroes
like it
games.
at all. But playing 1 and 2 on a modded
Yeah.
cartridge or whatever in English, like where they cut the grinded in half and everything, made it super approachable.
grind Grinding's the best part.
But I had the classic thing where my daughter was just learning to walk at the time. She walked by and knocked the Super Nintendo off. And
Oh,
I
man.
saved, got a race on Dragon Quest 1. And I was like, and I stopped playing. And then it went to my backlog again. Back
So,
to the annex.
I didn't
Yeah.
understand what the
Dragon Quest.
JRPG was completely when I first played Dragon Quest 3, but then when I went back and I played Phantasy Star 1 and Miracle Warriors, then it made sense.
That wasn't even a term that
I
existed
understand.
back then. There was no such thing
The
as
grind's the
JRPG.
Well, I
RPGs are
knew it was
just
RPG.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
I love the grind.
And
Do you like the grind now?
Oh, yeah.
I went, the thing is, the games that I played after, like going from Dragon Quest 3 to Phantasy Star 1, and then going back to Dragon Quest 3 still doesn't work because it's so not as
There's
advanced as
something
Phantasy
therapeutic
Star 1.
about it.
So even though Phantasy Star 1 is my favorite game of all time, it didn't make me like Dragon Quest 3, and it's still kind of you to me. I'm sure there's people that love it, and I know kids were killing each other for it in Japan. That's why I had it, was because some relative of a kid, bought it for their kid, knowing that it was a hot thing in Japan, sent it to their kid couldn't play it, let me borrow it, I had an adapter and a Famicom adapter, and stuck it in my system, and it worked. So I just inherited it, because I could play it, and I thought it was cool to have a Japanese game. That was my first Japanese game. Then I got Double Dragon for the Famicom, and I thought it was a bootleg because it wasn't like the arcade, and it was like one player, and it didn't have all the moves, and I'm like, what is this crap? Yeah.
You know what blew my mind about Double Dragon 2 for the Famicom?
Yeah.
Is that it actually has a legitimate hard mode. So like normal mode is hard mode in the US version of Double Dragon 2.
Makes
Whereas
sense.
Double Dragon 2 hard mode on the Famicom is actually a challenge.
No, I actually, the US one, I always put it on Extreme Master or whatever the
Yeah.
hardest one is, because
That's
it's better.
but that's
Yeah.
normal on the Famicom cartridge. Whereas
Actually,
hard is actually harder. It's awesome.
Kishu,
send me
you
that
said,
link,
what about the cross-edge
Did you
games?
send me that link?
I personally love Namco
Oh no,
X
this
Capcom.
Yeah, so I
Great
can tweet it out.
strategy.
Oh, yeah. I sent you right now. Sorry about that.
Thoughts?
Those are definitely on my backlog.
The Namco X Capcom games?
Yeah.
I played the first Namco X Capcom, loved it. Project X Zone, loved it even more because it had Sakura Wars characters in it. And I haven't gotten around to part 2 yet. I want to at some point. But
So
I
I-
really like them.
I gotta play Sword of Vermilion.
I just sent
That's
it.
all I'm saying.
So I was attacking my backlog earlier this year, and I played like this weird game, and
Well, like
it's
for
terrible.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
I-
Master system?
It gave me like this quirky. There's nothing
I've never
else
beat
like it.
that.
They'll never make anything else like it again. Has anyone played Residence of Fate?
Or Newtopia.
Mm-mm.
It's by Tri-Ace.
Yeah,
It
Turbo,
came out around the
that one I
same
did.
time as like
Trophy
Star
too.
Ocean 4,
Mm.
and
Oh, yeah,
it is
the
really
Trophy.
quirky. But I love the character designs and I love the world they built. But the gameplay is so ass
Is
backwards.
that the one with the white-haired protagonist character?
No, but it has. Okay, so you know
I'm
what?
trying to think which
Um,
Trice game is.
The game screams X-Telnet, and that's part of the reason why I played it, is because it has that, like there's a character in it that looks just like Ernest Evans.
Oh, really?
Like he's a
Really?
swashbuckler guy with like blonde hair, and he has this weird name. I can't even remember what it was like. It's not Dash, it's like something.
Telenet games. Anyone else?
Oh, yeah.
Telenet games. I know we like Telenet games. Do you like any of the Telenet games?
Yeah.
Dude, Valis is probably
Interesting.
my favorite one.
So besides forgetting Ease 4, I got Valis 3 on the PC Engine CD.
Yeah, yeah.
This weekend. That's the only 2 games that I bought this weekend.
Here?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, how much
Yeah,
did you
they-
pay for that?
$20 for both. Ease
Oh,
4 and Valis 3.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it was like the guy pulled them out. He's like, I didn't think anybody wanted PC Engine games. And I'm like,
Oh, God.
what do you have?
I know.
What was that?
He
We
had
were
a-
around
he had a
looking
stack
for
and a lot of
PC
more
Engine
RPGs.
stuff.
I'm like, oh, here we go. And
Oh
this
man,
one,
I wish
he's
I
like-
found that.
It's like 20.
There was a
it the
lack of
same
games
guy-
I was
this year,
looking.
man.
I was looking for stuff like that. I didn't see
So
any
it
of
was the
it.
same
You
guy
got
that
them rest
had
that makes me hungry.
the
These
same
are
guy
like
that had the sealed
wasabi peas and
slaughterhouse. He had them under the
random-
table apparently.
Yeah.
I brought them out on Saturday morning when I was looking around, and I'm like, ooh. I was like, okay, so those were the.
I
two.
was sorely disappointed by looking around for stuff. I didn't find very
Yeah.
much.
Especially if you're like looking for imports. Then
I asked like tables if they had any TurboGrafx PC Engine
like
stuff. and they
hidden
just-
somewhere, you know.
So that guy literally had them under the table, which was interesting because I was talking with him about Turbo stuff. He didn't even think to ask because, I was testing my modded Turbo Express, and I was like, oh, let me try a PC Engine one. I didn't know I had to hold start.
That's just
start and
frustrating,
tell
man.
me.
It's like I don't have the time to like ask be like a beggar and ask every seller, do you have a
PC Engine?
game?
PC Engine.
Yeah.
He just happened to like bring them out like that Saturday morning.
PC Engine.
So cool.
Were there less game booths there this year?
It feels like it.
I felt like there were, right?
I feel like it was
Like some of
about
our
the
friends that we
same.
know, like, you
It was
know,
better quality.
Jose and Oscar, it's like they weren't there.
Mhm.
And that actually did, like, made it worse than last year.
Yeah,
Right.
it wasn't the
Yeah, cause
same.
they bring imports too.
Yeah,
Those guys.
no, that's why, it's like, I felt like,
Good
If
Saturday.
we're
was-
talking,
was the good
if we're
stuff.
talking import, yeah, absolutely not. The good stuff was for imports was not there.
No.
But I feel like there was a lot of higher end stuff for collectors, looking for sealed stuff. That was all here this year, which it wasn't last year. But not the stuff that we're all looking for. Like I
Yeah.
found a couple gems. Like
I just bought stuff to flip in the end, cause I didn't know what else to do with my money. But I'm gonna do good with that, so it's alright.
I bought one game, and it's like a common. I bought Baldur's Gate, the first one for PS2.
Okay.
Yeah, because the second one's Dark Alliance, right?
Mhm.
I believe. And I bought that because I love that Baldur's Gate, man. It's so good. Have you played it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
so
on
good.
PC.
Yeah.
Like way back when.
Do you have anybody asking questions on
On my
that?
PC, I was really on 128.
Kid Shuriken and
Picture
Yeah, ask some
says,
questions.
Joel, if I don't find what's H and Hokuto no Ken in the next week or so, I'm going to send you my copy.
Oh man, you don't, dude. Like I said, no rush. I just want a nice copy.
Venom Rest says, if anybody needs help with PAL exclusives, let me know.
Oh, that's nice of him.
Yeah, he hooks up Reggie with
Hmm.
a lot of PAL exclusives.
No, he's a super good
put
guy.
down
Yeah,
the
he's
rabbit
cool.
hole there. 'cause-
Super good guy, I like him.
Yeah.
Michigan Report from Hell for the PS2.
Yeah,
I kinda thought that.
that's a costly one though.
Really?
Is it?
I think, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it
When
is.
it comes to PAL stuff, I don't know.
Oh. No, I'm pretty sure it's out there. Well, if you buy it
I
on
feel like
eBay.
a
Because well,
I
no,
guess
PAL
there's
stuff,
difference.
I mean,
well, I don't know, cause I never really tried looking it up, but,
Never.
I actually have one of the few setups that will run that game, like, I can run a PAL game through my XRGB3 and put it on a PC monitor, and
Yeah.
it doesn't care it doesn't care if it's PAL, it runs, and I can see it and I can play it, it's
Nice.
fine. Cause I have a test PS2, which runs every region, and then for some reason, if I output components into the XRGB3, it takes away the PALness, and it
PALness.
turns it into like a VGA.
Away with the
signal.
PALness.
Yeah, I can play PAL games, without problems.
Shoot.
See, so you said you're kind of a noob at PAL. Like, I only know PAL from what I've like written on when I went down a rabbit hole, but I'm learning.
Yeah.
And so like knowing the stuff like the PS2 PAL.
Well, my exposure to PAL was I was working at a video game company, and we would get PAL versions into test, and they had to send you to the room that had only
Kid
the
Sugar,
PAL
I'm
stuff.
going back in November.
And they had special TVs and special systems
November-
that would only run the PAL stuff, and that would not work on anything else.
19th to the-
So that was a big
November
try and
19th
stay away
through
from PAL
something.
stuff because it wouldn't work on your stuff.
My main experience is always like playing the ROMs and it's so much faster. And
Yeah,
so
that-
like you guys are playing it on the wrong hertz and everything. And it's just to me it's always like frustrating.
Do you guys know about Michigan Report from Hell and how crazy
Yes.
funny it is?
I heard it's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Like it's worth
It's funny because Reggie brought it up in your stream,
Mhm.
and I was like, man, I've never heard anyone.
I found that game myself.
I know
by
the game.
accident.
I know the game. So
I don't even know.
because I'm
Pamela.
from Michigan,
Pamela.
and I always thought that was an interesting title to a game.
Why?
Michigan too, that makes it better.
I'm making
Oh
myself-
my
I'm making
God.
myself forward.
The best thing was when GameStack did a video on it,
Did they?
Oh, did they?
and yeah, and he was like imitating it too.
Really, that might be where I heard it.
Oh my
Kid Sugar, you think I'm gonna be, I think in the Kansai region
This
again.
sounds like the room
So,
of video games.
maybe you
Yes,
guys can
it definitely is.
to
Okay.
Osaka. We could
It's like,
drink, you
I
like
literally
drinking?
just saw somebody on the Twitter post from JP Switch when because I mentioned Switchbook and somebody said, oh, you better do at least 8 pages on Troll and I.
The PAL
I'm
perspective
like, no.
says, I know plenty
It's a
about
bad
PAL.
game,
I
man.
bought
The thing is, we just played
What?
it, and it's not as
Repro-
bad as everybody
from
says it
Report
is.
from Hell for $30.
What's that?
That
It wasn't as
PAL
good as
perspective
you
bought
said.
Report from Hell for $30 Australian.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's not terrible.
I'm
Kid Sugar
looking
says,
for it.
no, carry your ass to Tokyo.
Don't ruin your trade.
But
I didn't think it would be terrible.
we
It's
could
not
drink in
anything
Namba till like
about it,
4 in
but
the
it's just
morning.
some things. I wanna collect quirky stuff.
No, I think if he buys it for us, but I think if we buy it on eBay,
Oh yeah, no PAL.
that's what I'm talking
Mhm.
about.
Oh.
It
It
might
might not, I don't know, I haven't checked. Did you?
I'm trying. I
Just
can't
can I
find
get
it.
a drink?
What do you want?
I don't know. Whatever's in there. I should have bought more drinks. I didn't really buy much in the way of drinks. There's water here too. They're warm.
Aquas.
Aquas.
But yeah, like everybody's always wanted me to write more about trolling.
Oh, hand me that Rockstar that's in the thing. Is it still up there? My other half of the Rockstar?
I wanna find more stuff like Deadly Premonition, Michigan Report from Hell,
Yeah.
I think I played something else that was kinda like that had that charm. I think, that Resonance of Fate kinda falls into that category, but it's just so hard to play and practically unplayable that, the combat system's really quirky and bad.
I'm definitely
Yeah,
impressed
these,
with the fate, yeah.
I really like the art in it though.
Yeah, that's what drew me to and why I got it, and it was pretty cool. Yeah.
That one's 83.
Is that Hell?
No.
No, I don't want the Japanese one, I want the English one.
Questions are all
Mm,
We got chatters.
we got shatters, yeah. Let's see.
Chatters.
No,
I
no
don't
question.
know. No, it's called Michigan Report from Hell there too, as far as I know, right?
Right, I
Yeah,
know.
it's
Oh, I
not
don't
a direct translation.
I don't even know of the game.
Well, GameTech did do a video on it, and
There we go.
yeah,
That's what they're selling for.
Yeah, I'd like a better deal than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can get us one. Send, get a copy for both, Chris and I. $30? I'd definitely get it.
Yeah.
I'd buy that for $30. For
$30,
sure.
like $17 shipping?
A good copy.
Yep.
Is that with shipping?
No, probably not.
It's in the car.
Shipping is kind of right. From Australia.
Have you played the new Fist of the North Star
New one.
on the PS4?
The Team Yakuza one?
Yes.
Oh, that's right, you're the one who made me buy it because he's a space harrier, isn't it?
Yes.
And
Oh,
I-
yeah, that's right. We did. We were talking about it on Facebook. I'm sorry. I totally forgot about that.
I'm kinda mad about that because I paid full price for it and it's 20 for like a month.
It did.
Yeah, I saw it, yeah. Whatever, that's space
I'm
harrier.
sorry.
That's all good.
Sega sent it to me, so I
Yeah.
didn't pay anything for
Aw. I bought it. Ouch.
it. But it's good.
Yeah, I played the demo and I didn't think the demo was that great, but it's got Space Harrier on it, whatever, okay. I'll just put it with the rest of my games that have Space Harrier in it, and yeah, whatever.
What other games? Educate us.
Huh?
What other games have space? Harrier?
Shenmue,
Yeah.
is one of them.
I'm just wondering if
Other
there's-
Yakuza games, things Yakuza 0 and
Okay.
Yakuza.
Oh my God. We have John with Intrigue Gaming.
Oh, did he make it home all right?
Yeah, he made it home okay.
John.
John with Intrigue Gaming.
We left your panel for a minute to say bye. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw him. I saw him waving frantically when he left. I was sad. I cried. I have separation anxiety, so when John left, I was very sad. And I cried.
Because we left earlier.
But then I ate something and I felt better.
Well, he stayed here too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, it was us four. John, Chris, and you
I'm
know,
like a refugee, but yeah,
we rescued
not,
him.
not here.
Sure you rescued the Tang.
Mhm. Well, I mean, he knows. I always got his back
Thanks, I appreciate it.
with stuff.
So what are some other RPGs that I need to check out?
Other than East?
I don't need to check out these.
Nothing.
I've already done that.
Nothing. There's no other RPGs.
Like I haven't done. You could probably say any one of them on
Well, my
Super
other
Nintendo. now.
favorite, other than East, is Valkyrie Profile. I really liked Valkyrie Profile a lot. And speaking of Trice,
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Have you played Exist Archive?
That's what I'm thinking now. Exist Archive. That's the one with the
Oh,
white.
I have that.
Exist Archive has that same similar.
That
yeah,
feel. No, I
yeah,
haven't.
Good, try.
A lot of people were saying that Exist Archive was slower.
it is.
So,
It's not as good.
yeah.
But if you
And
like
you can get
that,
it for super cheap.
oh yeah.
It's super cheap. It's like $14 a
Yeah.
year or something like that.
That's how much I got it for, and it's still in my backlog, sealed in the drawer.
Was it?
So
I'll
go
try it.
try it. Yeah.
I got it for free, but
Oh, did you? I'll
I
try
reviewed
for
it.
$14.
they sent it to me.
I'll do
That's
it.
actually one of my highest viewed videos. I think it's up to 65K.
Wow.
The really.
The Exist
That's
Archive
crazy.
review.
One of the nice things though.
What am I
get
looking at?
following their
Oh, it's the
finally
piggy.
get the cred to get
Section
review
piggy.
copies.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really
At
cool.
first I thought it was
Well, since I
something
have a team of reviewers,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, so I was like 8 reviewers or something like that. I'll do like, oh, I'll get the Fist of the North Star.
Little
Here
fan.
you have Jackhammer Jim, like you've never heard of it. You know, like.
Put it in the glove compartment, little fun for later.
It's kind of what JP does with his Switch Mania stuff. He's like,
Yeah.
are you? He has like a slew of
Well,
reviewers that review.
One of my reviewers is Wargamer Girl, so she loves board games and stuff. So I'll give her those Warhammer games because I don't play that stuff, but
Yeah, I don't either.
and
War Groove and all that.
man, like on Facebook, I think we have like 85,000 on the Warhammer 3000.
Yeah, a lot of people love that stuff.
That's
I
crazy.
never get into it.
But I'll tell you, man, I ain't never seen a more trollier group of fans like than the Warhammer games, man.
John wants to
Oh my
know how the
goodness.
Tetris championships went.
It was amazing. We had the quality of competition of a world championships, like from a couple of years ago, at a regional. And we had a couple of superstars, Quaid, who's also been a second place winner at the world championships against Boom Tetris for Jeff. Jeff Moore was also, he was our winner, and he took the trophy for the second year, won the trip to Portland, and we got to, Jeffrey Whittenhagen and I got to do commentary again, which was the first time we did it since 2016. That was the year that Boom Tetris for Jeff became a thing, and Jeff Moore won the whole thing here. So
Which was really ironic. And like, so what people don't know is back in 2016, that's when I found out I was allergic to wheats because I couldn't breathe right before the finals. That's
Oh.
where all that craziness happened, was because I was like kind of loopy. And it was hilarious. So now all of it's a complete meme and it's great. Because it's like, come on.
Beastman placements,
Yeah.
and
That's the best.
Neck and neck.
Placements. Neck and neck.
And Steve Luca, who was setting it up, yeah, we didn't know we were gonna have internet until like this morning because I was gonna go home and try to get my laptop and tether it to my phone, and it was crazy. But at the last moment, everything came together. People showed up and qualified, and Quaid had maxed out. He got 999, so it was super exciting. He was the first seed going in, but Jeff was there, and Jeff only played like a couple of times and just got a score that was good enough to get in.
Like drive overnight too. Or something.
Yeah, he drove overnight, and Steve said like, "Oh, he's driving down now," and it's like, I'm like, I hadn't seen him play in a year because he didn't make it into the top 8 at the World Championships last year, so I didn't get to commentate his game. I don't know how much he's played or how his game had changed. So I was able to commentate him since the last time I'd seen him play, and he played a lot riskier back then, but he seemed to have calmed down a little, doesn't play as YOLO. So it's really interesting seeing him a little safer and then dominating, and even being able to beat people like Quaid, who Jeff could be a beast this year, and it was really great just having him come down here for a second year in a row and make the Desert Qualifier his home.
He just like cool, calm, and collected in Portland.
Right.
I think it'll
It's
be-
like 2016 Jeff with extra powers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like those guys like Corian and Jonas that just put pressure on him. It causes him to play a little harder.
Yeah, he might take more risks against them.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that
If he could
plays out.
avoid that though, like I think he could take it.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's Joseph though. Joseph is the
Oh,
trying to be
hyper-tapper.
hyper tapping, right? So being able to survive all the way to to 29 and beyond, like you have to kind of hope something random will happen, and then Joseph will not play to his potential, but you also want everybody to play their best. So we'll find out in a couple of months in October.
I find myself when I was watching it today not breathing.
Wow.
Like, because I'm always just like, and then they do something, and because I'm not like at your guys' status or level, but I'm like, why did you do that? And I'm just like, oh no. And then they do something that makes it all right,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Everything is.
Yeah, I saw
all
a
right.
few drops that I thought were misdrops, but I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, let's see how he clears this off, and then they burn from the top.
and it's always like
Yeah.
in 2 or 3 moves.
It was almost always a burn from the top
Yeah.
too. That was one thing. Like we're like, hey, are they gonna do this or that? And it
But
was always
definitely
fun.
this year, we noticed that the difference between victory and defeat was when players would cover their well It happened so much to the people who got knocked out.
It was like Rev, who was the one who came in second place. I think it was like 5 or 6 covers. It just randomly happened where he covered the well just at the wrong moment.
John wants to know what happens if they both max out.
Then it,
Reverts to who is faster, or
Pushing
Um,
competition.
I think in this particular, when we don't use the competition cartridges,
Yeah,
it's whoever gets it first.
yeah.
And if we do use competition cartridges, the competition cartridges will hold more than 999,999, and we don't have to have that limitation. But we're trying to lobby to get the competition cartridges for these regionals as well, because what happened to Quaid was RNG completely screwed him.
What
Like
was
he
it,
had a
46?
46.
46, 47
47.
drought. Like,
Yeah, it was. And the thing about when the droughts happen in this format, when you're not using the competition cartridges, the guy who gets screwed by RNG, like, has it happen to him, but the other player doesn't. So if you do use competition cartridges, if the drought happens, it happens to both players. So
it's fair.
there's no question that like skill will overcome it. But now it's just like, well, what if you got different pieces? Who would have won? And it kind of leaves that question out there. So hopefully in the future, they'll be able to address that and have competition cartridges for the regionals as well. At least for this one, where the competition level is super high. Like
What I was
maybe,
telling Steve is they could even use last year's competition cartridge for the
Yeah.
qualifiers just to get it through, so that way everybody has an equal playing field. Like,
Yeah.
Then use the new one for the
For
finals.
the finals.
Yeah, you unveil it like Mario 3 and the Wizard.
Yeah,
Like,
well, it's just
new competition.
there's nothing new that the audience sees at all anyway.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
We'll see how that happens. There's a bunch of things that I'm lobbying towards. That's one of them. The other is that second place in the World Championships, instead of a T trophy, you get an L trophy.
Oh.
Because then it's actually like a bonus reward, because then you get the weird trophy that's an L, and you actually kind of have a sense of pride about it, because it's like, I got the L trophy, even though it's not the T. Then
Would that be
you
loser
put
though?
them together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's, it's like a joke, but it's kind of special in a way, because it's rarer.
That's funny.
Third
At least
place
for
was
now it is.
Blockhead.
Joel?
What's up?
Gunnar says that he loved the interview with Greg,
Rick,
the
thank
father.
you, man. I appreciate
That was
that.
fantastic.
That was one of I really enjoyed that interview, doing that with him, and I actually kind of teared up a couple times during that interview, because the guy is so sincere and how he approaches his method of acting, and even in the game like Far Cry 5, if you haven't played it, play it just to see his performance. He plays the father, like the bad guy, but it's just unlike any enemy you've ever seen. Like, he's just so intense, and he's got the character has so much motivation. It's so well written, and then he takes it to a whole nother level. And if you don't know who Greg Brick is, he was in David Cronenberg's History of Violence, which was an insanely amazing movie. Very well acted. So what he brought to the table is unlike anything we've ever seen in a video game. And man, yeah, thank you so much. I'm glad you liked that, because that was a good interview. That was a good time for sure. But here's a question.
No.
Okay, all right. Unless there's questions in the chat. What game do you guys feel like could be played competitively that is not?
That's a really good question. Actually, I had a talk at GDC about the Classic Tetris World Championships this year, and I designed it so that it could be applied, like what we learned from Tetris could be applied to other games.
Right.
I say, like, you can have formats that apply a speedrunning effect, ones that you just put 2 stations next to each other and then you race, because they might not have a versus mode. And those are things that, like, the weird thing about NES Tetris, the way we use it, is it doesn't have 2-player mode. So you have to have 2 stations with 2 screens,
Right.
and then you have the players start at the same time, and our rule set makes up for the fact that it's not designed to do that, but it does it in a very good way. So,
And forgive my ignorance, because I'm not a Tetris maniac. Why not play the Tengen?
Tengen Tetris is balanced. It's basically too easy. You can play it forever, game never ends. And the thing about NES Tetris, the one made by Nintendo, is that there are a lot of happy coincidences that came together to make it a good competitive game, in that you race 2 stations format. You're trying to get the highest score, trying to get that 999,999 level of play. You put two people next to each other and have them start at level 18. Your match times are always going to be about 7 minutes long, because even if you don't pull down on the D-pad to make it go faster, it's finite. Someone's gonna die.
Yeah.
You cannot survive very long past. I mean, Joseph can, but even then, he can only do it for a couple of levels. You will die, and a player is gonna die before the other one, and you will have a winner. And it gets very intense and very interesting to watch. And in the esports format, if you have matches that last less than 10 minutes, you can have a bracket, have a fight happen, then go on to the next one, next one. Very good for esports format. So NES and Tetris are being balanced both in terms of time, gameplay, and score that way. It makes it almost ideal.
Well,
But
right
it's
now
all
it's
happening
vodka
coincidence
Rockstar.
instead.
So what game?
I got mine. I got mine right
I
now.
just
Played
happen to have a
competitively.
Rockstar, so it's about
Like just for me, like I mean, if I just had a
Well, here, no.
thing,
Oh, yeah.
You have a couple minutes to think.
I'm a dick.
Tell me yours.
So I would really love to see like a 2-on-2 that could go, but like a Contra or a Mario Brothers or any of that just would take too long. The one I'd really love to see, Saturn Bomberman.
but that already is.
I think that is,
No,
yeah.
I'm saying like actual taking the level of Tetris where you get a world championship.
Oh, okay.
Like I've seen smaller
Tournaments held, right.
but I want to see it like elevated.
But I think what Joel meant though was games that don't even have
At
any
all.
kind of.
Well, what,
Yeah, yeah, I'm
what
like,
prevents it from being a competitive in
right.
your mind? Like,
It's like
most
imagine Mario Brothers arcade.
yeah, most speed runs are kind of like just like games done quick.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Right, those are games that aren't designed to be competitive, turned into a race format.
Right.
And in my panel, I talked about like that's one way to do it, and then other ways to do it are that one's I can talk about like that for a day.
That's what I wanted to do.
But
don't get him started.
what I found interesting was when I started to explore the concept more in my mind. Like one thing that comes up is, well, how do you get people who have never like played a game, people who are might be bad at a certain game or have never like been really great at a game, how do you get them into the tournament? And well, what if you had a tournament that wasn't like getting the highest score or beating the game, but it was like something completely random, like being able to like let's say like you're playing Super Mario Brothers, and instead of like getting to the end of the level or getting a high score, what if the object of the game was to hit as many objects and kill them with just fireballs as possible?
Right.
Do that in like 10 minutes. Like that's
Like a
so
really fun
random
gimmick thing.
and so different that no one's ever competed on that one element of trying to do it. And then you program something into like right now our Tetris system can actually detect, when the lines happen and it automatically shows the score differential and things like that. Well, what if you wrote a program like that to detect when things are killed by a fireball, right? That's just one example. Or like climb as many vines as possible in like 3 minutes. Or
Like Bubble Bobble.
how about a game where you're trying to get as many deaths as possible? Like, you jump into this game, it could be some random game like Mega Man, and kill Mega Man as fast as you can. In 5 minutes, how many times can you do it? Like, that's an interesting challenge that people, it keeps something fresh, right? When you think of new rules that haven't been explored like that before. So that's something that.
It'd be cool to have like some sort of randomizer, right? So when the two players sit down, it's like, and he's like, beat
As long
the
as
game
both
with
players, yeah,
using
has
the
to
blue
do it.
shell or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
And that's,
It had to be
they
able
have
to
to go
do
for
that.
that.
Yeah.
You never know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, that would be like an interesting, like, versatility of a player test.
John
Exactly.
says, Jeff, have you seen the Battle Royale Mario? That's pretty fun competitive game, but I think it's been nixed by Nintendo already.
I don't know nothing about
I've
that.
heard of it, and it would be amazing. I agree with that, yeah. It's just disappointing that Nintendo wouldn't. That's why like a Mario Brothers competition would really go well, because unlike the Tetris company, I don't think Nintendo would support something like that unless they controlled it holistically.
That's true, yeah.
And that's the issue. That's where no one total controls something. So in other words, it would always be on the side.
Mhm.
Just be an old. It would never get to that level of competition.
Right.
We were just mentioning on the side.
Juan
Bubble
Castillo,
Bobble.
what's
That's
up?
Bubble Bobble competitively, like
Hashtag
going
sorry
at each
crew.
other, trying to capture the enemies, but
Yeah.
having to limit
That's a
it.
good one, yeah.
Because if it goes on forever,
Yeah.
now, because if you're a good player, you're gonna continue to beat the game, but that's hours of play.
Rule set is key.
Rule
Sometimes
set
you
is
can
key.
think of what the rules are
Yeah.
and make players play within them, then you can have something that lasts as long as is fun. Because when we started out the Tetris World Championships, if you look at our very first year, we had a round, elimination round or something, where you started on level 9 and tried to get as many lines as possible. And that took forever, because you started on level 9, and people are just, they're gonna keep getting lines until like level 30, or level, 29, and.
What do you start at 18 now?
Yeah, we started on 18 now.
Which is smart.
Yeah.
So if you have a lines competition, and people like don't die.
I
that's
can't
what
even
we
get
did,
to
right. So we nixed that, like second year we didn't even do that, and then we raised it to the levels, because the top levels of play in the world, everybody's gonna start on level 18 to get the highest score that they can.
Yeah. And you can max it then.
Yeah, so getting that rule set, like we didn't get it right the first time for Tetris, but learning and evolving that format, that's how we got to where we are now.
I think that like the guys that do the Retro World Series have done a lot of these games in a
Yeah.
one-off type deal, but like elevating it.
Yeah,
to
they
be-
learn, right? They learn what works and then they
Yeah.
adjust.
Well, I mean I think like
I thought
where
you got another
Tetris
picture of my friend.
is almost over like a Kong off.
best friend.
Is that you literally have people sitting there playing Donkey Kong like all weekend and just sitting there in their own zone, whereas the Tetris you get to watch people go head to head and go after it, you know what I mean?
Was
They
that?
do Dr. Mario.
Yeah, there's a Dr. Mario Championships. It was like a few weeks ago, I think.
Yeah. Packy?
Yep.
Packy?
I don't know. I know he's won it before.
I know Packy's one.
So this is Battle Royale, I guess? Oh, I see. See these?
Yeah, and Nintendo killed it.
So that's another player, and that's another player, right? And they're just trying to get through. But what are they doing?
Now this is kind of how they did Mario Maker 2. Like you have Mario Maker 2 where you have multiple, you play 4 players there. It's just really laggy online, unfortunately. And you can't pick friends, so we can't play together. It has to be random people offline. It's
I
like
think
a
they're
complete
gonna.
missed
I think they're
opportunity.
gonna change that though.
They should, and
I
if
think
they
they
can
will.
rework that, imagine us all just being able to sit on Mario Maker 2 at home and play like all 4 together competitively.
That'd be
in
fun until
random
Chris.
level. Beats out bus.
I don't know. I have to
That's
have
what you
real
need.
incentive to like get good at something, and unless I'm like got like money on the line. or
You're like,
something,
"Where's my
I probably-
paycheck?"
Yeah. Even like that's why I don't have her play Mario Maker,
Yeah.
because making my own levels, well, I should be paid for as a game designer, so why would I do that for free?
But dude, could you
You don't-
imagine like releasing a Chris Tang level?
There's people who are better at it than I am, and you know what I mean. It's like
Well, today,
still be
but
your level.
tomorrow you could pass them.
right, but I mean I have games that I need to work on that people haven't even gotten to play yet. So
Yeah.
What
like,
you
if
mean
I
is
don't do that, then.
you've gone beyond the hobbyist mode of the level.
Oh, I used to love level editors. I mean, Excitebike, I would intentionally buy programmable pack because I wanted to make like Mock Rider levels. I wanted to make Excitebike levels. Pinball Construction Set on PC was one of the first things I had as a game program. First thing I did was I made like a fake Konami Life Force pinball game, and I drew the big core up there, and I made like things that I really like, games I liked, right? I would like plug them into Pinball Construction Set and make pinball boards for like video games that would never have a pinball game.
Well, imagine a Life Force actual physical pinball.
Yeah.
With the core there, like oh my god.
Yeah, I did that when I was like 9 or 10 years old on an
I'm
IBM
just-
PC clone.
Nothing surprises me. When
Do you know what the first game I programmed
That
was?
was nice.
So I had this big long gap in my career where I did game code, and then I
in
did.
between he was 6 and 8. It was a long gap.
Yeah, no, it was more like when I was like a kid and like maybe a few years ago, actually.
Oh, okay.
The first thing I programmed was a version of arm wrestling, Nintendo arm wrestling, and I did it in BASIC. And the graphics were ASCII art. It was like I used the brackets to form arms, and then I made them like flicker to show that like they were straining, and to try to do animation, so like the arm going down or whatever. And then I did a randomizer loop, and when I make the exclamation point, I don't know if you've ever seen Nintendo arm wrestling, but it's a spin-off of Punch Out.
Okay.
And even Bolt Bull is in it. He's a
Oh, okay.
character in the
Wearing a
game.
mask and it pops off.
Yeah. So it's a semi-sequel to Punch Out.
Okay.
It came out between Punch Out and Super Punch Out, I think. But there's no home version of it. And I was like, they're never going to make a home version of this. So I was like, well, if I can make anything that doesn't exist, what would I do? So I made a version of Nintendo Arm Wrestling with ASCII art and BASIC when I was a kid,
That's
and
hilarious.
it worked. And why did they bring this up now? I'm not sure.
I forgot.
What were we talking about?
We went down the rabbit
I
hole.
know, dude.
No, just to join an arm wrestling.
No,
The
they-
Tang hole.
we're talking about-
We
we're talking about-
we went down the Tang hole.
Oh, right.
We went down the Tang hole. I thought they were gonna call it. Hello.
And Tree Gaming says, do you think Nintendo should bring a Metroid or Zelda maker?
I mean,
Oh,
why?
are you
I'm
kidding?
sure it's coming.
Hey.
I'm sure it's Zelda
better.
is probably next.
If they don't like
I don't-
money, it won't come. If they don't like money.
I don't care if they make a Metroid, but I would
Zelda
love to
maker.
see a Zelda maker. And I think what we're seeing in that new release of
Link's Awakening.
Link's Awakening is kind of the first step, like the tryouts, I think.
Because it is really like.
Because you can build your
Plug
own
and
little
play.
things there.
So anyway, the point I was trying to get to is, I think my time is best spent making things
Yeah.
that don't
Yeah.
exist that need my help.
Right.
So, you know, the
Yeah.
game I'm working on, Strike Blazinger, is a good example. You know, it's like a spiritual successor to the Sega rail shooter. Well, that's not out there now, but what I'm exploring and designing that, you know, is valuable. I think players will really enjoy that. Anybody, well, not anybody, but, you know, there are other people who can do a better job than me making levels on Mario Maker, but I think that maybe only I can make like a 3D rail shooter with the knowledge, because I love games like Space Harrier and Fantasy Star
And we need
Counter
one.
Sports, right?
We have nothing.
And everybody that plays the game is like, wow, this is really different. And when you look at our game, no other game moves like our game. And
It absolutely doesn't.
like that's motivating to me, because I know that if I don't make it, and you know Kiyoshi doesn't, you know, we don't do this collaboration that we know is going to be awesome, no one else is going to do it. So
Yeah, I feel like I think my favorite rail shooter is Star Fox still,
yeah.
but it's like Star Fox isn't even a rail shooter anymore. It's a character in Smash.
But even when I see Star Fox
Yeah.
and I play it, it looks like garbage to me compared to Space Harrier, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which
This is
Star
like-
Fox?
I kind of like
Any
the
of them.
fantasy style.
Just 'cause,
Like, I like that, when I watch
it
it,
as well.
when I see
It doesn't
Space
feel as
Harrier, man,
frantic.
it's just like, to me, I'm like, it's ahead of its
I
time.
think I understand what you mean.
Because of the speed too.
Yeah.
It's the speed.
There was one,
That's
what's the
Yeah,
one
you
of
see the frame rate on my game, you understand.
That's where
Yeah.
like your game has that intense speed as well, whereas you had the slowness of a Star Fox or a Panzer Dragoon.
Well, the reason why
Like,
Star Fox and Panzer Dragoon are so slow is because the hardware they were originally developed for couldn't do good frame rates and that style of graphics. But Space Harrier took sprite graphics, ran it at 60 frames per second, and everything could be really fast and look good. And that's why my game kind of does that too.
I mean, I kind of the one that had the speed correct that I enjoyed, and it was somewhat rails, a little bit like Res.
Yeah, that was okay.
Loved Res.
What about that one on the Genesis, you're on the bike?
Oh, Burning
Oh,
Force.
Burning
It's a little bit
Force.
better.
Yeah.
And the other good one is Night Striker. And actually, if you look at that, the video where GameSack features our game, they also put Night Striker in that one.
Was it on the Super Famicom, a Celebrid? Enjoyed that one. It was a little bit clunky, but it was fun. A little bit railsy.
Is this even interesting to
Probably.
these guys?
I don't know.
The audience?
Everybody loves
We-
I mean, they
there's
keep
no
releasing
years.
Space Harrier, so. But the point I was trying to get to is that when you have something in life that you know you need to do, then when you have something else that's creative that takes energy, like making levels in Mario Maker, you compare those two side by side, and it's like, if I spend my time and energy making these things that I might not be the best at, should I be
Right.
doing that, or should I be doing the thing that only I can do, that I really have my heart in?
So is it more of
And
a
time
matter?
is fun.
Is it more of a
Yeah.
matter of a passion then?
It kind of is.
Yeah.
And like maybe when I was 10 years old, something like Mario Maker would have been amazing and helped me learn
Right.
the building blocks of being a better game designer. But I had those experiences, different experiences, like trying to make arm wrestling in BASIC when I was a kid.
Right.
That gave me that kind of background instead, or trying to make a Light Force pinball game because I was a huge fan of the game around that same time. And those were the tools I used when I was young. And maybe someone who's like 5 to 10 years old now will play Mario Maker 2 and that will be their tool.
Yeah.
But because I've gotten to those experiences a different way, I don't need to use that same tool and get out of that.
When we were kids, we had to kind of figure out our own ways. Like when we found
Yeah.
basic. On
And there would be other
or
things
whatever.
like throughout the gaming history that would allow you to do that. Like, so my funniest story about Mario Paint
I
is
was
that
just gonna ask you about Mario Paint.
So,
there you go.
they had these like piracy devices that let you, like copy a cartridge to a floppy disk and things like that.
Yeah.
The best, use of those was actually the fact that you could save your save RAM onto a floppy disk. So imagine Mario Paint, but instead of only getting the one
Well, that's
save
an
data
awesome
on your
idea.
cartridge, I can just pop in a floppy
Oh man.
and I can save my drawing onto
Yeah.
the floppy. Yeah,
Forever.
yeah.
Wow.
And you can perfect that, and then when you're ready, you
Right.
put on a VHS.
So when I was a kid, like I'd actually make like fake anime porn, like on Mario Paint, and then I'd sell the discs.
Oh my lord, stop.
Selling anime
So that's one thing.
porn.
So the other
Thanks,
cool thing
like anime
with-
porn empire.
With
Wow.
Mario Paint that I did was
Paint.
I need to make a video of this. And some, I don't know if I should. I know I
You're gonna save it for the video?
Oh my god.
there's a YouTube video that I know if I make it, but now someone else is gonna rip me off.
Don't say it, don't say it then, don't say it.
Yeah.
Don't say it. You guys, I had this Mario Paint book that basically, I don't know if you remember it, you could,
It's the one that came with your Nintendo
But
card.
seriously, if you're like
it's the one
a
that you could,
teenager, right, and like
They showed
you got
you,
friends who have like disc copier systems,
you could make
and
Street
you have the
Fighter.
capability
Yeah,
to draw
yeah,
a naked
that's the
Sailor
one.
Moon.
I think
Like you could
it
sell
came with
that,
the
right?
Nintendo.
Back when
Okay.
that's the only
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
You don't have
It's like-
Photoshop.
I
There's
didn't
no
know they did
Photoshop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They took hours and hours and
I remember
hours.
I said Mario Paint.
That's how I learned how to do
We're
pixel
all
art. was
crazy.
Mario Paint.
Oh, really?
You know,
That's
so-
great.
Well, I messed around with all the music stuff, but that book, was it black? Is that, what,
Yeah.
what, that book and they had all like, you could make the whole scene from Street
It had
Fighter?
that. Yeah, it had that same.
You remember that?
front cover that all the players guys did from.
I remember
Nintendo.
that.
Yeah.
So the
You remember
Mario
that?
Paint guy.
For Mario Paint, and you could make like, someone went in there and drew the whole, like a scene from Street Fighter. And you could follow it, pixel by pixel in the end, and it took forever, it took forever, but.
Like Chun-Li would take up most of the stamps.
Oh.
That's what me and my friend were doing it, and I made Chun-Li and Link, and he goes in and makes her naked and has Link sitting there going, the little Link sprite going ping 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 ping
Yep.
on her.
You guys were more,
And I
more
made,
creative
and I
than
made,
I was.
and I made the music, and it was the Zelda theme in the background. We
Yeah.
We
So,
probably recorded.
so
on
the
VHS
idea that I
now.
was gonna talk about
Link's gonna
is
take
kind of
this.
similar to that, like
Oh,
using
Link's
Mario
gonna
Paint
take
to
this.
make like weird like weird questionable images with Mario Paint and having fun with it. But the fact that I was using a game copier to like have infinite saved slots,
What was
that's
it, like Dr. Super Family or something like that?
the one I used was called
There
like
were
a
couple.
multi-game hunter. Yeah.
Okay, so I may eat my words saying this, but I think there's one thing I could beat you at.
I'm sure there's plenty. I mean,
John Hancock
you're,
says, "Hey guys,
you
what
make
is up?"
movies and stuff.
No, video game related.
Okay.
John Hancock.
John Hancock.
Oh, hey, John.
Hey.
Hello.
You should be here, John. Where is he?
Yeah.
Where are
Did
you,
he
John?
leave already?
Did you go home already, John? Yeah, I
And you
think
might
they
be
all
super
left
awesome,
today.
but I'm pretty good at pressing buttons.
I heard
If
Metal
that makes sense.
Metal Jeebus said
So,
that
like,
they were
track
at
and field.
4:30.
Oh.
Metal
So
Jeebus.
you know they make a device that measures
Yeah.
the
Mr. Jeebus.
Yeah, I've done it, and I haven't seen anyone.
John Hancock's home.
So you got,
Really?
you do the lock and
Yeah,
shake.
there's a-
Would,
there's
would,
a-
you, would you like to put money on that?
I don't want to put money on it. That's why I say, like, I feel like I'm gonna eat my words, but I feel
So-
like I could do
I
that.
would love to see it.
So you know Corian, the Tetris Grandmaster
Uh-huh.
from Japan. Yeah, he has one of those, and he brings it to the after party at the.
Yeah.
I used to have it on my 3DS, right?
Yeah,
There's only there's
Mention.
let's just say there's one person who at the party hit the buttons, and when Corian picked it up, he went, "Oh!"
John
That's
Hancock-
why, okay.
That's all I'm
Hancock
gonna
said he
say.
wanted to
All right,
say
yeah.
hello.
Okay, now
Before he goes
is
to
your
bed.
technique straight on? Because if you don't master this, shaking it back and forth, hitting it back and forth like that, you might
See,
not.
But
Wait, what
here's
was
the
the
thing,
motion?
is that cheating?
Were you there? You might have been there.
I was
No,
there.
Is
Yeah.
that,
I'm saying,
cause that's
can you go
not,
like this?
that's not quite
It's a
what,
watermelon.
that's not.
I don't remember.
What?
That's not
Well,
what
the
it is,
engine can go through the watermelon.
cause that's a different style. This is
the
pushing style, but button
this,
tapping.
and then,
Oh, you want it to strictly be tapped.
and then
I could actually probably scare him if I showed him me hitting like one of those arcade stick buttons. Like my hands are actually pretty fast.
I'm just saying, I think
John Hancock says track and field.
I
Use-
think you might be
ever
surprised.
use a Ziploc bag?
Ziploc bag over your head.
What do you do with the Ziploc bag?
I remember the spoon technique.
For the button tap? Is that with and then a pencil?
Yeah,
Is that
the
what you're
pencil
talking about?
technique, just tapping back and forth.
Tapping?
I remember all the different ones. Did you ever play the track and field controller?
Taparoo.
I actually have one.
Yeah, I love it.
It was all these
really
like
cool.
hands.
It's a different. It has. Mine has
an
an Atari plug.
I know what it is.
It's a different track and field controller.
Yeah, mine has the
This one right
extension
here.
plug, the Famicom extension that goes in the middle of the center of the console, or on the side of the console.
Yeah.
So we'll have to,
Yeah, we'll get.
one day.
Yeah, go at that.
I used to have it on
I'm pretty confident. If I can make Corian go, whoa, like, and no one else did at that party, then
Yeah,
I'm not worried.
Tetris after parties are crazy.
You're not worried about getting your ego shattered.
I mean, no one's beat me yet.
John Hancock's a cover part of
Corian's
the controller
like, probably better
with
than I
a
am.
bag
by the way.
and rub the finger back and forth. Works best. Will burn your finger.
That's
Will burn your finger.
That's weird.
Wow.
Yeah, it's damn spicy.
But, I know,
Takaishi Mentu.
because you told me in the car earlier when someone said, like,
No.
Where it's
I can't
like,
do
it's like
something.
a little
I'm
intro
gonna do it and go
for
above
him
and
and his
beyond.
rival back in the day.
Yeah.
And they're like,
So,
oh,
I know I'm, like,
it shows
screwed
Mentu
in the
snapping
end.
on a watermelon going right through it.
But the other thing is that Corian is the only one that has a device. I also have
Is
one.
it? Oh, funny.
Well, they made one for the
Samurai
3DS.
type thing?
No.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
no, it's like 80s style.
Although a 3DS
Oh,
is
that's
like
it.
the worst, it's gonna
Yeah,
like
so
crash
good.
your actual like
Yeah.
That's cool.
built-in button on. Like it's something you can plug in a controller into. It might be better than it'll crash your.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The other dude's
Yeah.
like taking chopsticks and going real fast. They're sort of.
Really good training. I didn't watch this.
Yeah, there's a Takaishi mentioned where he's the guy that they made
Yeah.
the tapper for.
Yeah.
And it's like this thing where he's going versus his rival.
Bag
And
tricks.
because they used to play versus each other in tournaments and things, that's where the caravan started. And there's like this classic J-pop music where they're playing versus each other, like riding bikes and going doing construction work, and then they show Menjin going through a watermelon, and he cuts right through it with his.
By the
finger.
way, it is just like really awesome that I can even talk to anybody in the freaking world that even knows about what the hell Takahashi Beijing and his little button device is.
I have a towel of that device.
Yeah.
I have a weird little towel that I got.
Like,
and I never got to.
I never thought that I would even know people, let alone be able to like talk about it.
Converse
and,
about it.
Right. Maybe even challenge people.
Bye, John
on
Hancock.
someday.
Thanks for stopping by.
I'm challenging you.
Sounds good to me.
I'm challenging you.
I mean, I know Corian can beat me because he uses his, and I kind of don't use
I
mine.
wonder how Joseph would do.
He's a happy hyper
Hi,
tapper.
Super
The
Boo.
hyper tap.
He's a hyper tapper that can like destroy all the other Tetris competitors, so he might be able to beat Corian.
Well, that's different, I think.
Right, but
Because his is probably a small interval pattern, right?
but he practices Tetris doing hyper tapping like all day long, so he has to be at least as good as Corian, if not better than moving the pieces, and he survives longer than Corian after Post 1229. If their tapping skills were comparable, then Corian would also last about the same length. But Joseph has been to like 32 now. I don't know. It's crazy. Maybe he's been to 33 by now. So
Yeah, and if you ever watch the Tetris, SEC order, like you know how unheard of it is to get the third.
yeah. The other thing is that Joseph's only been playing for now it'd be like a year and a half. But
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you know why Joseph started playing Tetris? Boom Tetris.
Boom,
Yeah.
Tetris for Jeff. like
I couldn't
literally.
believe it. Like I asked
That
him
is
asking him
funny.
every
Literally.
time. I'll ask
Craziest
Joseph,
comment.
hey,
Yeah.
really? Was it really Boom Tetris for Jeff that got you watching Tetris?
Super
He says, yeah.
inspiring.
And he's not the only one. There's another 14-year-old kid that.
Yeah, with green teeth.
No.
Not
He was
Green
at the. You were there too. At Cali, yeah.
Yeah.
The regional.
Oh yeah,
That
okay.
kid, Alan. Alan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Alan.
He's like 14, and he can get like 850K, and he has the Boom Tetris projector. We're both wearing it, and
Yeah.
he said he got into it from watching the memes and stuff.
So the question I had today was, alright, so that happened from like one crazy ass viral finals that we had where we were doing commentary.
Yeah.
What happens now that it's on ESPN2?
Well, the thing is, it's awareness, right? It's awareness. Kids are gonna watch it. The thing about Joseph though is that he's 16. He's the new face of Tetris. Like Jonas is the legend, right? He's our ambassador. But having a new face of it and showing the world that someone can
God
just,
damn it.
someone young can pick up the game, learn it in a year, and
My
become a world
battery died.
champion. That's inspiring.
What does that mean?
My tablet.
We're good.
Oh, okay.
No, that one's good. I just can't see what chat's saying.
Do you need a Is that an iPad?
Huh?
Is it an iPad?
You want to look at his phone for chats?
Like a Windows thing.
Yeah, I would like to have a chat window so we know we can answer
Yeah, that'd
questions
be
and
sick.
stuff.
Oh wait, Reggie.
Reggie.
He says we're at the hotel. I had to shoot some podcasts.
Had to shoot
Yeah.
some what?
He replied to me too, but all he said was sorry, DJ.
Oh.
What time is it now? anyway?
Sorry.
I had Pete and Jay, the
I
game
was gonna-
chasers, just message me.
So the
We're over
idea-
next door to them.
The
That's how
idea
fun
of
it is.
having Tetris on ESPN, as you were saying, is that kind of like where
I just wrote, like, he's writing something back
tournaments
right
were
now.
happening on ESPN too?
No, Tetris was on ESPN 3 days ago. or-
I know that, I know.
You're not very good.
I know, I was just saying,
Oh,
I was just saying.
I
like,
guess not.
He's talking about the future, what that
He didn't
means.
come
Yeah,
to
Like the people seeing it, like getting inspired, like Joseph did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seeing the crazy
More
videos.
exposure and
Now, do you think that that'll be the right thing? Because, you know, a lot of the youth now, they just watch the crazy
he got involved.
That's
And
what
Huh?
they posted all the pictures of it being viewed on public TV in different places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I think it also is like amazing that in our generation, it was like, well, at least for me and my parents being conservative and stuff, they were like, there was no idea that you would be able to play video games competitively for money or anything like that.
Yeah,
And
actually,
my parents were like, it's gonna rot your brains.
the first thing that when Joel started this interview with me that sparked us having this discussion tonight
Yeah.
was that my parents didn't approve of me playing video games, and they told me it was a waste of time and money. And my entire launch into being a competitive gamer and working on games as a game designer, that was my rebellion to show that it was possible and this was my passion. And that not only could I do it, but I could do it better than anyone they had ever heard of. And I wanted to show my parents that I love video games. This is my life, and it can be done. And then I want to show anybody that doubted that possibility, because I had seen stories and Whittenhagen talked about Van Golden. It's like I watched That's Incredible when I was a kid. I wanted to be that. I wanted to be like a video game hero to other kids and be a good role model and show that
Well, we're straight, it's Reggie.
if you love something and you're really into it, anything can be possible. And I think, me continuing to be involved in like the Tetris Championships is like an extension of that dream,
Right.
even after having won championships myself as a kid.
Yeah, awesome, yeah. I just think
He's just giving me all the excuses.
Reggie excuses why you can't hang out with us.
We're not as cool.
Is he still with X?
Get a walk.
Yeah. We're not as cool.
I mean, they could be watching. He said, "Tell everyone I love them."
Well, none of us are CEOs, so
Oh.
Oh.
I'm not rich enough to use Adobe Creative Cloud.
He's like, I'm getting out of here.
Hey, I use it. Reggie sent a voice message. Let's play it so you can be here with us. Voice message. Reggie always uses the voice messages too.
We just have Adobe Creative Cloud.
I would be master of the universe. I would be able to go outside.
That's right. You can go outside and get
Hey,
some
ask the chat
That's,
to pick a topic that we could dissect.
Yeah, what do you guys want to talk about
'Cause I
regarding?
think I like the group that is here because I think any topic video gaming we can
Yeah.
pretty much
Yeah.
go off on.
No,
What do you guys want to
Let's
hear
interact.
as far as our thoughts on
Yeah.
any
Okay,
specific
right.
video game topic that you guys
So
are
Mel Packard's
thinking about? I'm trying to get back to
Yeah.
the channel.
No, it's so weird to hang around people that you can say a game and they know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Takahashi Meijin button thing.
Yeah.
Like what?
Oh, dude.
I have
He's
friends
used
that
it
know what that is.
It's so random, right?
I'm telling you, man, I can hold my own. I know it
I'm
seems
sure you
weird,
can.
but
There you go.
Yeah, with me, like most of my knowledge is only really like import stuff or like stuff about Japanese developers. Like my knowledge of video games is not that vast. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but you know a lot right there, though. man.
But it's
You lose
mostly
me.
random useless shit to most of
You,
it.
I love it when
you
you-
lose me on PC.
When you go off on PC
Like,
Engine stuff,
yeah.
I'm just
Happy
like,
Console Gamer is still here. He says,
Hey!
thoughts on the Turbo Mini, perfect. Because we were talking about this
Yeah.
before
Yes.
we went on stream. Ben in particular was also saying that he had never played East 1 and 2. So that's going to
Oh,
be a good
man.
chance for him to play it.
So let me go off, man. Okay, because like
Well, you're gonna
I
say it
keep-
all for
I
us.
keep
It doesn't-
texting Johnny
I think
about
so.
and he keeps doing videos on it, and I love that. Thank you so much for the shout outs every time I do that, and sorry for running up your phone bill, but no, seriously, I didn't know. I won't do that anymore, but I'll get.
What did you do?
I won't do that anymore.
Texting Johnny costs some money.
Really?
Oh,
I think so.
okay.
Hopefully he
think Canada.
makes it back on the YouTube videos, but still, like, I feel bad about it. So anyway, I think the TurboGrafx Mini is going to go down as being the best mini system
I
released to
agree.
date. As long as they nail, the response time and the emulation since it's M2, they probably will. Unless they are, so the
Oh,
only
they
thing
will.
I could
They will.
see that they would not.
Well, they have a
Come through?
reputation to keep.
Well, that the reputation is one thing, but they're also kind of loyal to Sega, and they're also working on the Genesis Mini. So where do they put their work, right? They need to have enough time, and hopefully Konami gives them enough time and budget to do the
Well,
best
I
job that
think
they
the
can.
Genesis Mini is done already. I think
Yeah.
the work that they put into the Genesis Mini is already
Right, it's
a
shipping.
done deal. So
Yeah.
now they have.
And yeah, reviewers already have it.
Yeah.
So now's the time to put more
Right.
into the turbo.
Right.
So the thing about the TurboGrafx Mini being the best one, and okay, so the reason is it has the biggest library that's most representative of the platform for all of them. It's not missing significant. I mean, Legendary Axe is
Thank
probably
you.
a big hole, but
was
other
good.
than
Oh, yeah,
that,
you're gonna say legendary
Yeah.
Axe, like.
Well, that's a hole. It's
the,
not there.
now the Genesis has major holes. Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles is a big one because
Yeah.
Sonic and Knuckles, they make like a prop for it that you can buy for the Genesis Mini. They don't even have the game on it.
I know,
And they have the
that's so-
Sega
That is a
CD
bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
and the 32X add-ons as props, but there's no games on it. I mean, why not make Space Harrier Arcade work on it? Why have Space Harrier 2? Why waste the slot on Space Harrier 2 when they could have made 32X Space Harrier run on it? Yet you have the Turbo Mini, you've got like, it's just the core and the TurboGrafx, but it's got CD games, it's got Super Graphics games, it's got arcade card games.
Yeah.
With Sapphire, which is like thousands of
variety.
dollars, right, on it. Ys 1 and 2, Dracula X, just some of the best stuff that the system had to
Yeah,
offer,
so many
all
good
represented,
stuff.
and the biggest library out of all of them, fully justifying the $100 price.
Like a labor of love
Right.
from them.
So I think
Oh,
it's gonna go down as, like, you have the opposite side of the spectrum, which is the PlayStation Mini, which completely got everything wrong and everybody knows it sucks.
Yeah.
It's like a legend that it sucks. So if you can have a
That's why it's
legend,
$20.
yeah, or less,
Yeah. You can have a legend.
it's so epically bad that everybody knows it's bad. You have the TurboGrafx one, which is so epically good. Word's gonna get out how good it is, and if it sells out and it becomes unavailable, the value's gonna skyrocket on it. I'm not sure how many they're gonna make, but man, make sure you get one, because if it's good and they don't make enough of them, it's gonna be a sad time for a lot of people.
But
I think they're gonna make it.
there's so many people who didn't grow up on the system like we did. There's so many people that don't have that nostalgia. Is it still gonna be the best for them? It's the best for us because of how we grew up. Is it gonna be the best for them?
I think so. I think it's going to be the best way for those people to be introduced to a whole
Right.
new
Okay,
sort
so,
of-
like,
For
let's
sure,
say no one had
100%,
any
yes. But are they gonna feel that same way? Are
Well,
they
they're
gonna
not
feel the
gonna
same
feel
way
the
they did
nostalgia
with the
of it.
Super Nintendo Mini?
But I guarantee you that a lot of the people who were on the fence about getting a PC Engine or whatever and never did because they didn't want to deal with $300 systems,
The price.
Oh, yeah,
blah,
yeah.
blah, 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 right? Can go out and buy a $99 mini system and play all these games.
But is the nostalgia there for them?
No, but
Exactly.
those are the people who
Yes,
showed
they'll get
and wanted
introduced to it.
Yeah, they'll still go out and get it. I think.
No, I
hope,
have no
because if
doubt.
they don't, it's gonna fail.
Right.
But
Well, I have no
I'm
doubt
hoping-
that it's gonna sell. I think just because
The
one,
collector market itself is gonna sell it.
and no offense to gamers, but some of y'all are sheep, man. And I say that
Here we
because
go.
once those videos get out and people are reviewing it,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be an awesome system, they're gonna say it's an awesome system, they're gonna go buy it. I don't doubt that it's gonna not sell. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's great. I think it's great because man, this is stuff we've been bumping forever. We want people to know what Ys is, and I think this is a great opportunity. I
Now,
just don't know if the nostalgia.
The one downside, though, is that it's an Amazon exclusive, at least for now, and not being able to go into a store like Best Buy or Target and just buy
Yeah,
one.
it's gonna hurt a bit.
It has a barrier of entry Normal people like aren't gonna know about it. So like see it on the shelf and say, "Hi, I'm a parent. My kid loves these mini systems. Oh, look, another mini system. I'm gonna go buy that." You can't.
That
That's
is
not
a-
gonna
That is
happen.
an awkward omission.
You kind of have to know about it ahead of time.
Yeah.
And the information barrier right now is we have an eye on it because we know what TurboGrafx
Right.
is, and gaming people who are tuned into gaming news know about it. But the mainstream parents who might want to buy their kid a mini might not know about it.
Mhm.
And instead they'll see stuff like they'll see arcade one-ups, then they'll see those dumb little mini things that are like $50 that play only one game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they might spend their money on that when their kid might have loved like the Turbo Mini, but they just didn't know about it. And well, what if they do run out on Amazon? They don't make any more. Then it's gonna be a niche collector item, and the masses will never get to enjoy it. And I'm a little afraid of that. Already, when the Nintendo one sold out, it was getting to that point where people did know about it and they couldn't get it, and then it raised the price. But then Nintendo made enough to meet demand. I don't know if TurboGrafx is going to get that second run where it'll satisfy the demand once people want it.
I think it's coming out at a interesting time because even like those first Nintendo runs, they only made so many because they probably didn't know if it was
They
really
didn't-
gonna
they
sell.
couldn't, yeah.
And now they knew it was gonna sell, so they made mass amounts of the SNES one, and then PlayStation comes and it totally bombs. And now we're getting the TurboGrafx 16, and I feel like they're like
Phenomenal.
with the Amazon thing, it's plain and safe to
Yeah,
see.
real safe.
If it works well, then they'd make a second run.
Yeah,
And distribute.
maybe into stores, maybe.
Could be.
I hope so.
I think that they're just playing it safe because not very many people know TurboGrafx 16. Like for us, it's a part of our lives and a part of our being. But
Mhm.
man,
Yeah.
so many people I know do not even know what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. A lot of casual games.
But it'll definitely sell well in Japan,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh, that's why there's so many
And
versions.
in Europe with the Core Graphics 2 that they're getting.
which was kind of random. But
They
I'm
never had a
guessing
Core Graphics 2
that the reason why the Core Graphics
Oh, man,
2 was
I
the
don't-
European one because in Europe,
They had a
Sony
distribution.
Pen,
Yeah.
there was a company called Sony Pen, and they used to distribute the Core Graphics system, the Japanese one.
Yep.
And they would just rebrand it. And it's also NEC and stuff, but they put like their brandings on
And
the
they have
actual
like a
Japanese boxes.
janky, loosely translated manual that would come
Yeah,
with it.
and there's like a paper manual. But eventually, like Sony Pen started to make their own controllers. I don't know if you ever saw those, like
No.
weird gray Sony
Might be
Pen
able to sometime,
controllers.
though,
Yeah, so
So
it was
that's
big, and
interesting.
so that's why I think that that's the one that they targeted towards the European market.
Yeah, they wanted to
Of course.
reference something that they could
That
identify.
they knew
And
exactly.
yet they get the
Mhm.
bonus of the Japanese people wanting it too. They double dip.
Yep.
And what I learned is, you can get all three in Japan. You don't have to go to Europe to get the European one. You don't have to go to the US to get the US one. So I got the 3-pack from Amazon JP. I buy it, it's getting shipped, and it would cost about the same amount if all of them were TurboGrafx ones from the US because of sales tax.
Mm.
So that was like my find, that my secret thing was like, I'm just gonna get them all from Japan, and that's the best way to get them, I think.
And Tree Gaming has a question. He said, I'm new to the TurboGrafx 16 PC engine and have been learning a lot from watching Star Maru. Thank
No,
you,
you're-
Tree.
It's
His-
not that one.
oh, I'm sorry.
The one on top.
Do you all think the Turbo Mini will be hackable? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everything's hackable.
With one caveat. So, M2 is really good at converting things better than your
Right.
standard vanilla,
Oh.
one size
You
fits
almost
all
don't want
That's
emulation.
true.
yeah.
I don't think
exactly.
there's going to be an
If
easy
there,
beat,
if
no.
M2 does some kind of secret sauce that isn't easily reverse
Mhm.
engineerable,
Could be a while.
it might not be, like, unless the hackers are really dedicated, it might not be perfect at first. So it's gonna take more work than a one size fits all emulator hack.
Mhm.
You might not just be able to stick a ROM in there and have it work. If they're
No.
addressing specific places in the program that make it better, that get around things that maybe the stock emulation wouldn't have handled,
Yeah.
then there might be problems. Like if
Yeah, someone's going to have to definitely write something that is.
they'll
going
have to have
be
an
able
understanding, they'll have to disassemble what's there and have an
Mhm.
understanding
Right.
of what they did,
Yeah, wasn't that too?
instead of just dropping new ROMs in like you have for every other emulator.
And in all honesty, this is the first mini that I feel like I won't even need to hack. Like, I'm
Right.
so happy with the lineup, besides Legendary Acts, but I get why it's not there.
Mhm.
But I'm so happy with the lineup,
Yeah, they added Splatterhouse. I mean, it's almost like they
no
responded to
reason.
feedback with that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, even if they tried to respond.
I think
to
yeah,
us,
there
they're
are a couple
actually
other
don't know what else
holes
is.
not so bad, but the thing is, like, you know, when you have a hole as big as Sonic 3 on the Genesis one, yeah, like it hurts, right?
No, what hurts is Revenge of Shinobi.
Oh, that's
That
another
hurts
Japanese
on the
one.
Japanese
Yeah,
one.
yeah, I'm getting
But-
the Japanese one.
Yeah, I have to get it because that's the only way to play my favorite game.
Yeah,
and
another
M2
whole-
did an amazing job of the emulation for Revenge of Shinobi. So if you played over on the Sega Genesis Classics on the PS3, that's the version that, as far as like an emulation, that
Yeah.
feels the best. That double jump on Revenge of Shinobi can be a pain in the, you know, if you don't do it right. And yeah, and so that they did it right. So I gotta go get the Japanese version.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting it for 6 months. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I'm getting
yeah,
it through
for
Amazon
sure,
Japan
for
and the
sure.
Tower.
Yeah.
So I'm getting all that stuff from Amazon Japan. The Mega Drive Mini, probably with 2 controllers. Actually, that was the first thing I need to do after I get back home is to put my order in. Because after I found out about the Turbo 3-pack, I was like, well, why don't I just get all my Mega Drive stuff from Amazon Japan too? Get my tower.
Doesn't
get my
make no
6
sense when I
pads.
get that.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any
It's crazy
sense.
that we're not getting that.
It'd be awesome though. Maybe if it sells good, they bring it over.
Yeah, I mean Sega is putting a ton. Like every time I log on to Facebook, they got another ad for the Mini. Like just recycling it.
Well, they have a
Simple
lot.
as for that tower.
Huh?
They have a lot of what do you call it? Is it recon? I guess because of all the bad Sega mini consoles out there.
Oh right.
So-
Well, everybody had reservations, but when Sega said they wanted to do one, they were like, "Oh, at games, right?"
Yeah,
So-
at games.
But then when they actually had the reveal in Japan, and they talked about M2 doing it, and then like they're all in. I think people had their faith restored, and also after seeing the Sony one just crash and burn, I think Sega knew they had to really advertise that it was going to be done right. And if they didn't, if they just didn't talk about it, then people would assume it would be at games. But they made sure people knew it wasn't. And actually, Konami rode that wave by doing the TurboGrafx one in a similar way.
Yeah. I actually really like the PlayStation Mini. Now that it's hacked,
Right. Well, that's yeah.
and man, there's a lot you can do.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I didn't like about the PlayStation Mini is that it doesn't come with a DualShock.
Yeah.
And
that's the
even
most
if you hack it, it's still not gonna play as well as a real system with real games, like ever, because it doesn't have a DualShock.
Right.
And there's other ways for me to play a good PlayStation 1 library. I can use PlayStation 2 to do it.
Yeah.
And emulators are actually really good for it. So, like, why would I ever, just use this kind of gimped box that only has this, controller with no analogs and no other options when,
Not for a PlayStation.
yeah. Like, one thing I love about the PlayStation format was, like, GunCon games. And the last thing I wanted to collect, had a bug for collecting, and I actually pulled it off, was getting all the GunCon games. And I have a Tube TV that they all work on, and I play them. And like that's something that the Mini will never do. Not even emulation will do that because like them games won't work.
Yeah.
So having real hardware in that particular instance kind of devalues the point of having a Mini because it really can't. Even if you put all the games on, it's still not going to play right.
Yeah, and you're not gonna have all different aspects. Now, does
All the
the
peripherals.
PlayStation Mini support at least an analog controller, non-PlayStation Mini controller?
Yeah.
So it does support that. So you can
Well,
still play
doesn't
some
the-
analog.
But I mean, their software isn't. I mean, I would assume a hack. That you'd have to have a hacked something to make an analog controller work with an analog game that has, or a game that has analog on support. So like, let's say if you wanted to play Metal Gear's, Ori, like My Cooking, or Ori or something, uses the analog exclusively. You can't even play it without it. Like, what if you hack that ROM on there? How is that emulator gonna know that the USB controller you plugged into the PlayStation Mini, what's gonna map it? It's not a computer. It doesn't have the software to identify what axis is what. Like, I don't think. And then the emulator that it comes with, that it doesn't have any games that use it. So would that even work? That's why I think that even hacking the PlayStation isn't gonna be an easy fixed to make it as good as a real PlayStation, because there's so many, like what about the dance pad? Is it gonna know to, deactivate your left and right and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, I'd used it mainly, with RetroArch and then
Yeah.
playing other games. Cause you can put 120 some gigs on that thing.
Yeah,
With
But it's just,
with a
yeah,
micro SD card.
peripheral support and things like that, like emulators, people have been, tweaking that stuff for years and years, so you'll have better support of that for plugging analog controls
Right.
in, steering wheels, things like that. So having all the ROMs on it would have more of a point, but if you have a hardware that doesn't know what the heck's being plugged into it, then how's it gonna, like, what, I have, one of my favorite PlayStation 1 games, or for anybody, would be Assault by Namco, and the best version of it is on Namco Museum. And it used this giant double flight stick thing as its analog controller, and this was before the DualShock was even a thing. That was a weird controller, it used a different standard than the DualShock or even the Negicon, and you had to have a PlayStation 1 to get it to run. You had, like, the fat plug.
Right.
Like, you'd never be able to use that on the USB thing, even if you got the ROM to run on it. And I don't think anybody loves the PlayStation Mini enough to write a driver and hack that into that poor little box that has no love. So I'm just gonna go with my real PlayStation.
Get a converter from a PS1 over to a USB.
Someone's got to
Have that
program.
controller.
Someone's got to program all that crap in, and
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
anyone's gonna do it.
So Weirdo Guy 01 says, I'd like to see Blazing Lasers, Pac-Man, and Magical Chase added to the Mini as well.
Blazing Lasers is on it.
Yeah.
Are there any games that you guys want to see on these systems?
Besides Legendary Axe.
Besides Legendary Axe?
That's really the only
Right, like a wish list, right, of what it doesn't
Actually,
have.
Yuki.
If I could choose.
Affection to Yuki, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. That's a good question.
Honestly, like, that's the only disappointment I have is that Legendary Axe isn't on there. Because that's the one, nostalgia-wise, after sharing my story too, why I wanted the TurboGrafx 16. And I actually really like the game.
Are both Utopias on it?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
know
English
two.
and
I didn't know
Yeah.
two was
Those
on
are the
it.
ones that double up.
Yeah.
Good. Because I didn't know two was on it. That's.
But I think there's, oh no, Dragon Spirit's on it, wasn't there?
It is.
That was the new one.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say that one, but.
I've got a few that I can think of. So first and foremost, Devil's Crush should be on there.
Yeah.
Alien Crush.
Yeah,
Devil's
yeah.
Crush.
Yeah.
That was like
Sure.
iconic for the system.
Which one's first? Which one came
Alien
first?
came first.
Alien,
Are
okay.
we missing any bonks?
Well, it has
Oh.
the Japanese of one and the English of two, so that's kind of okay.
So missing third.
I would really like
Yeah,
if they had so two localizations. There's an English version of Snatcher,
I think the best
but
one too.
not on the PC Engine Mini. They have the Japanese version, but they could port the English from the Sega
The
CD,
Sega CD.
right onto there. The other one is they did make an English version of Dracula X, and they've released it twice on the PSP and on the collection. So they could use that localization on the PC Engine, or even, fans packed the PSP version back onto the PC Engine. What if you load that ROM? That's going to be one of the first things that people are going to put on there is the Rondo, because even if M2 did some kind of magic to make it run better, that would probably work. It's probably going to line up just fine. I really liked Double Dragon 2. I think it's the best version of Double Dragon ever made.
Because that's the combination of
The NES
arcade
one.
graphics from the NES.
60 frames per
gameplay.
second, smooth animation.
Oh, so good.
It's like one of my favorite games on the system. A big one, Gate of Thunder. I know a lot of people.
Yeah, Gate of Thunder.
Yeah.
No,
Should
Gate
be
of
on
Thunder
there.
is. It's weird that they would have Lords of Thunder, not Gate of Thunder.
Right,
And
'cause
I wonder why.
If I had
that
to choose
is.
between the two, it'd be Lords, but I like Gate 2.
I do too. I love
There's
Gate
no
of
reason
Thunder.
not to have.
Right.
And a lot of people have extreme nostalgia with Gate of Thunder because it came with the turbo
Yeah.
wheels. In my case, it came with my Super CD.
Yeah. So I think like all Packins would be nice, like Keith Courage would be nice, of course that.
It'd be-
Keith Courage
At
is
least
kinda-
I like the
Well, here's the thing. I do feel like that should be a home for it.
At least
Because
the
it's a
TurboGrafx
pack-in.
Mini, right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's what, if you bought it,
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
it.
I don't think it's.
I don't-
I
I don't
would.
think it's like
I
an
wouldn't
amazing
give
game.
up a slot for it,
yeah.
but
Right.
it would be nice.
Yeah.
But I think with that one, they might have had licensing.
The anime,
The
and
anime.
stuff. Although I heard that like Bandai Namco owns that studio, and people are saying like since
Sunrise?
they got Bandai Namco, yeah, something like that.
Because Sunrise owns the rights to
Okay.
Wataru, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
probably
Legendary Axe is the same because
Yeah.
JVC used to own the rights and some other company
bought it, and I don't think they
and
care.
I think they just sat on the IPs
Yep.
and probably didn't.
Okay, big stuff. Telenet.
tell them
Dallas.
that- Yes.
Possibly
tell them
Cosmic
that,
Fantasy. We're thinking they got two working
Yeah.
designs, localizations on there. Why
Yeah.
not like Exile and Cosmic Fantasy and Bastille,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So Telenet stuff definitely. There's just a ton of stuff. I mean, too much to name really.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
this,
I have
the
no
bad
number of
dubbing of
Japanese
Last
games
Alert
I
and
can
Final
play.
Zone 2,
Yeah.
like, the world needs to know, but I
Yeah.
guess, it would be nice. I mean, I wouldn't give up, like, good slots for bad games, but
No.
they're still part of the history.
But who knows if they're going to bring more games too? Because they just randomly announced, "Hey, here come these."
Yeah, well, they actually, there was a stream where they said this is gonna be final.
Oh, is it?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Oh.
But maybe they might surprise us. I mean, I'm still
Yeah.
hoping, right? I have my fingers crossed. Maybe they're just covering their asses to say that.
Right.
Like, maybe some deal will come through. Maybe there's someone who has the IP for Legendary Axe and they fervently start saying, no, please take it, right? Like, what if that happens? You
Yeah.
never know.
So
That
you're-
would be...
Putting dreams in my heart, man.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, dude.
In the hopes of that.
At least the first one.
At least the first one.
It would be
We
fine because
only-
the second
we
one
only need the first
is not even part of the
No,
same
we don't
series
even need the
anyway,
second
so.
But what I
Oh,
love
yeah.
about what's on there already is, you wouldn't expect something like Super Graphics Golden Ghost. Like,
Yes,
you
that's
would
what-
not think that would be on there, but it is.
Yeah.
Or how about Space Harrier? Like, that is like one of my all-time favorite versions of Space Harrier, one of my all-time favorite
Space Harrier,
Turbo Graphics.
Fantasy Zone. There's a
I
few
spent-
Sega
I've
games.
spent days of my life playing Space Harrier on Turbo Graphics because it was the best version that there was at the time and still plays fantastic. Even my game's movement system is modeled kind of more down the balance of the
PC
Turbo
one?
Graphics one.
No.
Yeah. So it's like, why would a Sega game, Sega who has their own mini, put the superior version of Space Harrier that's on the Turbo Graphics on their mini when they got their sad little Space Harrier 2 that nobody wants to play on theirs?
Yeah.
Like, Sega, put a picture of Space Harrier 2 on their Facebook, and the comments were hilarious. They're like, this is the worst game on the system. Why didn't you put Part 1 on there? Why isn't the 32X one on there? And it's just, they got so much hate just for putting a picture of it on there. And then, the TurboGrafx one is on there, and that game's just fine. So,
Yeah.
why is that on there? I didn't expect it, but thank you for Konami for putting that on there, because that is such a big part of my childhood. That was the reason one of the main reasons I bought a PC. And the first 3 games I got were Space Harrier, Dragon Spirit, and Machine Den Wataru, which is Keith Courage.
Yeah.
And I didn't know Keith Courage, the TurboGrafx hadn't even been announced. I just saw a video of it, and I'm like, oh, that's a cool game with a robot with a sword, so I got it. And then when I booted it up, there's just a big key kid. It's like, me. And I'm like, what is this crap? So
I have a good.
I have a love-hate relationship.
Yeah, like I
It's
love
like,
it too.
I have memories of it, and I
It's
thought
like an ET thing.
those enemies with the shades and the guns on their head, I thought
Yeah.
they looked kind of cool.
They're cool. And I like the parts when he got into
The rainbow
the
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part was actually cool. I don't remember what the hell.
I
they called it.
have good memories with the game, but I do have memories of like, man, this is crap when you first started playing.
When you first played it,
when you first started playing.
it's-
Can I just skip these parts?
right? Let's go straight to the robots part.
Like,
Yeah.
sometimes
Exactly.
as a
I
game
like
designer,
those
I
parts.
think of
They're fun.
bad games, and I want to reimagine them in my head and redesign them as badass, awesome games. So what if someone made a spiritual successor to Wataru that took out the bad parts and then just made it so it had the parts in it. I think of things like that, and I think of what a good Cheetah Man game would be like, for instance, and then just blow people away at how good that would be if you could do it right.
Because there were other Wataru games.
Oh.
There was
They're like RPGs though. It's
random RPGs or adventure or some random junk.
Side note, I love Space Harrier. I could never beat it ever. It's really hard.
I can do it.
But last year,
really good at it. To be honest.
after hanging out with Chris and just seeing his love for that game, I went home. I'm not gonna lie, I went home and I just started playing it and playing it and playing it, and I finally.
Did I show you the video of me playing at a Galloping Ghost?
No, I know the story, but I
Okay,
just like
alright.
and send it to me because
Alright.
I would love to see it
Yeah.
because it's so hard though, man. But there are, yes, like circle, circle, circle. Like there are things you can do, but you know, no, thank you for like it was like seeing your love for the
Passion,
game,
yeah.
and going, man, you know, I got to go back in. And I've always loved the game, but man, it was always so hard. And but to beat it this year, you know, I don't know if you've ever gone back to a game that you just wanted to beat and do it, and
Was
then,
that the one you did?
and it was just so rewarding.
Yeah,
It just felt
yeah.
so good to go bucket list, right?
Yeah.
'Cause then my bucket list is just all games, you know.
Oh man, yeah.
It's awesome.
Any other holes people can think of for that TurboGrafx library?
Well,
Oh,
Yeah,
mine are
every
really
time you
Japanese
talk,
games for the
you're
most
basically.
I'm sure I'm leaving a few out.
saying that-
I would have liked to seen Buster Brothers on it.
Yeah, that was a good
Because
one.
that's a good two-player game. That's
And it's
simple
not
that
really
anybody can
on
get
many
into.
other systems at the time.
Mm-mm.
Like, it was pretty unique.
Yeah, I liked that one. Monster Lair would have been a good fun one too. Good two-player fun.
Good music.
Good music. Best version.
Fighting Street.
of Monster Lair. Oof.
What's that?
That's not a good.
Yeah, yeah.
The Jackie Chan.
No, that had good music.
It did.
It had
But the
really
thing
good
is,
music.
Street Fighter 30th came out that had Street Fighter 1, so
Mm.
it's less of a,
Possibility.
or less of a, what do you call, unique thing that you can
Yeah.
play somewhere else.
That's
What
okay.
is
That's
what
anyway.
is Monster Hunter? Or not
Monster
Monster
Lair?
Hunter? Oh my gosh, yeah.
Wonder Boy 3?
It's on Wonder Boy 3, that side scrolling is kind of like a shooter.
Oh no, I know that. What is it called on the Turbo? It's not called
Monster Lair.
Monster Lair. Oh, it's on
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
And the Japanese one is actually Wonder Boy 3, and the subtitle
Okay.
is Monster
Interesting.
Lair.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite ones is Tricky Kid Young.
I don't think it's on there.
Yeah, that would,
Tricky Kid Young.
but I wouldn't take a slot for it.
Right.
For sure, like, but it's.
Yeah, there are a few
it's
on
one
there
of my little
that
passion games.
take
I just
slots
love.
that I'm a little like, why is Chu Man Fu on there? It's
Yeah,
like,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't need this
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I don't play
Tiger
this
Road.
shit.
Like that throwing Tiger Road.
I don't think that's on there though.
It's not. That's
Valid
what they feel like. It'd be
games
like
would
them
be
putting
good
Yeah.
Tiger Road.
Yeah, we were
on.
talking
Yeah.
about Telenet games.
I'd love to see Battles 3 and 4. Those
Yeah.
would be, like if I were to pick any Telenet games, I'd probably, the Battles 3 and 4
That
would
seems
probably
like
be
such
If
a.
I had to pick one, it would be Ballast 3.
Yeah, me too.
If I had to pick one,
mine.
that's
That's tough.
Phantasm Soldier, yes, is better, you know, but I don't know,
I
I
like
just have
4
such
better than
strong
one.
nostalgia for
I like 4
for
better than
3, you know.
I'm a
like,
three guy.
threes.
I'm a three guy. as
Yeah, me
well.
too.
Yeah.
Music is so good, and it was just a cool story. And Happy Console says you guys are talking my language. This was your subject. We're still on the TurboGrafx Mini subject.
Like what?
Never
Well,
gonna stop.
dude, that's what started this whole stream. Kind
Yeah,
of.
it is.
The
It is
love.
before we
Yeah.
started the
Talking
stream.
Yeah, talking
Talking
ease.
Ease, yep.
You know what I'm talking tell now? I like Exile 1 a lot.
I haven't played enough of Exile actually. I need
It's
to.
got good music. I like that boss music.
Yeah, and then 2 came out also, but 2 was broken.
Yeah. The curse working designs.
They
It's their
broke
fault they
it.
broke it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what other games that I think have been on there.
Like the SNK arcade card games would be nice if they got arcade card, you know, since they have arcade card compatibility. And you know, we were talking about Mad Stalker the other week.
Mad Stalker, that's another one I was thinking about with Mad Stalker. That's a great
And,
game.
one game that shot up in value is Sylphia, which is a compile shooter.
God.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have that
Sylphia.
one. That's
What
one of
is
my
that
favorite
at?
games on the system.
Sophia? Oof, like $500?
Dude,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
400, 500
Yeah.
bucks? It's great though.
Really, really good.
And it's a compile game. They could have done it. It's like Sprigon is compiled too.
And also, a lot of X-compile people are at M2. That's
That's
why.
right. Yeah.
That's why we think Spriggan showed up.
So you actually just triggered a memory. What if we got the Summer Carnival games?
Yeah.
The Nexer, like getting those on the Turbo would be amazing. To get a couple caravan shooters because I would love.
Well, they've got,
since I played Rucka on the family.
Super
Yeah,
Star Soldier's on there.
Yeah.
And I think, is Final Soldier on there or
Is
not?
Final Soldier or Soldier Blade on there?
I think Final might be on there.
Is it? I think it's just.
Super Star Soldier?
Yeah,
I know Gun, I mean, Blazing Lasers is on
But,
there.
but both of those Summer Carnivals are expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if there's going to be any of those, I think Nexer would be the one.
Nexer's the better holistically.
It's a more complete one.
Because the other one's more just.
I am glad they got Blazing Lasers on there. I mean, if
Yeah.
that weren't on there, that would have really hurt.
Yeah.
But they got that and Super Star Soldier, so. I mean, the thing is, when you have so many slots, like, they have that genre, they have enough, like, I'm almost surprised that they even got that much crossover in the vertical shmup
Yeah.
genre.
I mean, Spriggan was a really nice surprise.
Yeah, Spriggan.
Man, what a great game that is. Dynastic Hero. I don't know. I think Dynastic
I
Heroes
owned that game
not
twice and I
the
got rid
best
of it both times.
Yeah.
Yeah. it was-
port of that Wonder Boy game.
Who has the best version of Strider? Port. No, not you know.
For home?
Oh yeah,
Home
for
console. I
port.
think the Genesis one is
I'd say PS1.
PS1
Well, I mean,
is out.
But that's the arcade.
I'm
right?
talking about, we're talking about like the 16-bit.
Yeah, no, Genesis
Yeah.
was fine.
Yeah, Genesis one I think is like the,
It's not
the
perfect,
PC
but it's
Engine one.
good.
It's
PC
not.
Engine was
No,
terrible.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
one's-
not. But the PC Engine one just.
Yeah.
It
Why
could've
did they?
been-
Why did they ruin that, man?
I don't know. It
Well,
had good
'cause that
cutscenes
could have
and
been the
stuff,
best
but
version.
it
I'm
could
still,
be.
Could've been the
I'm
best.
really
Could've
still
been the
hoping
best.
somebody finds that super graphics wrong.
That's the thing. Is I was just about to bring that up. Is that it started out. It had
What's
a
funny
really
is like the
rocky
PC Engine
start.
fan community is like,
Wait,
saying, oh, it doesn't
I
exist.
don't know
It
this.
doesn't exist.
I don't know what you're
So-
talking about right now.
Originally, it was going to be a
Yeah.
super graphics game. They scrapped it, and then they were going to make it into a super CD game. They scrapped it, and then 2 years later, we're at 1994. Originally, it was going to be a super graphics game around the time when the super graphics was still out, but
Right.
it was already kind of on its way out. So they were like, "Well, screw this. We're not going to do it. We're just going to hold on to it. We're just going to make it into a super CD," which would have been fine if they had, but they didn't. They scrapped it, and for whatever reason, they decided, "Hey, many years later, now that this game is completely irrelevant, let's go ahead and put it on the freaking arcade card, and we'll make it suck."
yeah.
But
But,
it's
um,
flashy and pretty in a lot of places. Cinematics. When I first booted it up and I saw the title screen, I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be fucking badass! This is gonna be the best version of Strider ever!" And then you start playing it, and you're like, "Oh."
But there's also
Immediately when you do the first slash.
Yeah,
you're
so
like,
it's funny because
"Oh."
like I'm like watching the PC Engine community over the years saying like, oh, it exists, it doesn't exist, it exists.
Yeah,
it
like
exists.
does it
But-
exist?
Well, I used to
Or we
work.
don't know.
I used to work at Capcom, and I know someone who has
Yeah,
actually
there were
played it.
screenshots,
Yep.
like lots of screenshots.
I
of
know
that,
someone who's
yeah.
actually played it, and I still work with them,
Nice.
and they wouldn't lie to me. So,
Yeah.
and he's still trying to get it. but-
Yeah, and then those screenshots came from somewhere. You know, there was a bunch of screenshots.
Yeah.
And Japanese magazines had a lot of screenshots.
Just how far along
Of it
was
too.
it?
I never even seen them.
Well, there was
I
a
don't
bunch
know,
of.
but Capcom was involved. So
Yeah, and I think there was at
that's
least a
where-
few stages because there were different screenshots from different areas of the game,
I'm gonna
like
investigate.
Okay.
the
I wanna see
beginning
those.
and up to like the ice stage.
yeah, but it's
and-
one of the biggest like knowing as much as I do about it, and I know more than most people do about that. Like even I have not been able to crack that one, even knowing the people I do, like within Capcom internal, and it breaks my heart. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think it would have been fine had they just continued doing that super graphics. One.
Yeah.
I can see why they scrapped
there was
it.
probably a couple of political reasons, and I think some of it was they didn't make certain things that were needed to make that game work on super graphics. So that's why they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
No, besides the fact that the user base would be like nothing.
Yeah, that's another thing too, is who would have bought it, you know what I mean?
They wouldn't have made their money back.
Mm-mm. And this was already in development when.
Yeah, they
Super
thought
Graphics-
that it was gonna sell more and be a bigger platform, but then
And this was before it released, the Super Graphics already started tanking, so then they were like, well, what are we doing now?
Yeah.
You know, so they scrapped it.
Strider is one of those arcade games for me that it's like one of those ones. I don't know how to say it, defining who I am. That arcade machine. Like I played it at game on the controllers. Oh, the controller sucked, but the joystick was all jacked up, like most of those games.
I
Over
always
there.
loved the slash graphic, and I always loved games
Oh, where
that
it
their
goes
slashes.
in the title screen.
No, just
Just
the
the
actual,
actual-
yeah, just
Oh,
the
like
actual
s-
graphic where like
yeah.
they do the slash and that like.
Yeah.
I've always really liked that, and that's actually the reason why in our game, Yuki when she slashes has a very
Nice.
similar.
Oh,
yeah.
Little thing. I've always
Yeah.
liked that. I've always liked
No,
that.
me too.
Have you ever
I
played
agree.
Run Saber on the?
Yeah.
Oh my god, such a great.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
So I might not have
That's
super
it.
graphics Strider prototype, but I do have Run Saber prototype. That's
Wow.
pretty significantly different from the release version. They censored it pretty hard.
Really?
When it got
Oh,
released.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
No, that's a great game too, but it's no Strider.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
It's a
So-
try.
So the prototype for Unsaber was the basis for your porn
Somebody
that
said,
you
what about-
distributed as a kid?
PC effects.
No, but
But it's
It's not
pretty
that kind of saber.
PC effects maybe.
PCFX maybe. Oh my.
I'm pretty sure it was a joke. There's like.
I have my PCFX.
Well,
I got from Luke Morris.
so you know how you're talking about you're so
They would
happy
have,
that you're
like,
able
5
to trade
games
your
that were playable.
Nintendo
Yeah.
for Turbo Graphics.
Yeah.
One of the happiest
With the
moments of my
animation
life when someone offered me $550 for my PCFX and all my games, I'm like, please take it. Please give me that $550. Take it all. Get rid of this thing. I do not want it ever.
What games did you have? Did you have any good games?
I had like
there?
Battle Heat and Yuna, and I had all the stuff that I thought would be good.
Yeah.
I never even went down that
Yeah.
You
road.
don't like Yuna? I like it.
I mean, for what it was, right? But
Yeah.
I was just, it was a principle. I wanted a successor to the PC Engine, and it was blasphemous to me. It was like, this thing has an NEC logo on it, and it's causing me pain. I do not want it in my life. Like that, and like the two things that made me happiest getting rid of was that and the Neo Geo CD1. The single speed,
Oh,
the
yeah.
monkey juggling the balls.
Yeah. For
Someone offered me
Eternity.
$550 for that, and I'm like, please take this. Thank you so much.
where do you find these people?
I know.
And
I
where
don't
do
know.
find these
I don't
people?
know.
550
I'm just like-
people.
I like,
This is years ago.
those are one of those things where it's like, I feel like I'm getting such a good deal, I might be losing a friend by doing this deal, but
Yeah.
I'm so happy I'll take it. Because I'm like,
Burn every bridge. Get rid of it.
I
Get
feel
out
like
of
it's
here.
such a bad deal on their part that they're buying a Neo Geo CD1 for me for $500 something. That's just like, man, that's dirty.
Like you deserve it.
Like I should go to hell for this. Like, I'm giving you this PCFX, and like no one else is gonna even know what this is. It would take me 10 years to get rid of, so I will just wipe my hands of it.
You know, bad loading time and all. I'm a huge fan of the Neo Geo CD.
Well, I have a CDZ, so when I
I
sold
do
my
now.
CD1,
Yeah,
right?
I have a CDZ, but I was a huge fan, even of the slow ass.
You like monkeys.
Yeah.
You like monkeys.
I like
so when the
monkeys.
monkeys juggling the
Yeah.
balls, Tsar is a happy Tsar.
So no, I
But-
get with Quan though at every NPC, and he brings me translated FPS cartridges.
I want to see
Nice.
that.
A CD only.
So one of the things I really like,
Force 2 on that, yes.
Oh, nice.
the Neo
I love
Geo
it.
CD
Is
does
that a
have
good
badass soundtracks though. Like,
Available for half.
No, Majimaru, I did not play those games.
Me-
I don't like FMV
Okay.
games, and
Quan.
I just
That, like this, that, I'm. what you
couldn't
guys
put the
talking
effort
about
into
right
getting
now,
better games for it.
I'm not,
I mean, like
Well
the top
versed in
games are
You know what I
Zenki, Zero Egar, Chip Chan Kick. Those are the
Yeah.
playable, the
Yeah.
three most playable games on the system.
But that's
and
just
that's
so
why
few
those
games.
Go,
And
you know, Zenki's 1,000.
yeah.
Zero Egar is 300. Chip Chan Kick's
But
200.
I want my memory of NEC's consoles to be,
Oh yeah,
engine
and they
for it
totally
to-
messed it up. And you know whose fault it is though?
Sorry, Quan.
Hudson's.
You ruined your PC.
Because Hudson didn't want to release the PCFX when it was seemingly ready to go because they didn't want it to interrupt the sales of the PC Engine. So they held it back, which they shouldn't have, because if they had just released it when it was ready, they would have had a hold on that market. Even if the 32-bit consoles like the PlayStation and the Saturn were better, a whole lot people a year sooner would have been more invested in the
Yeah.
system because they had.
Now,
already
I'm sure
gotten
there's
it.
people who appreciate the PCFX, and that's fine. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
for me, since I was a big fan of NEC, like to me that
Oh,
like,
for sure.
like
Yeah, I
that
was
caused
totally
me pain.
disappointed
I was
with
just
the
like,
paper.
I do not want to see them die like this.
Yeah.
And like I can't even
And technically it didn't because PC Engine lived on to
past
1999.
FX, right?
Yeah, Dead of the Brain 1 and 2
Yeah.
was its last official release in 1999. What was the Dead of
Yeah, it's something like 99 or 2000.
Yeah,
I think 99.
That's, that's crazy.
I think it's supposed to come out
From
97, but
1987 to 1999. That's a long ass life
Your
for
lifespan.
a system with an 8-bit CPU and a 16-bit GPU. You know, it
Yeah.
was meant to compete with the NES.
But the thing I've learned is that like every system is gonna have people who appreciate it. There are people who love the Jaguar. There are people who like the CDI.
What's up, man?
Also,
You have your Sega Master System for sale.
The Sega Master System was
He's
like
that's all
feeling
you
it.
have to say.
lots
He's
of parts
feeling
of
it.
like Europe and
He's
South
feeling
America.
it.
Sale is just huge.
Yeah, but the PCFX could have been something better had they just not marketed better, but had they just marketed it sooner, released
They
it
got more
sooner.
games on it.
Well, I also think the style of game that was encouraged on it, like they had a lot of FMV stuff.
Too much
and-
FMV
yeah,
stuff.
It was not.
That's
It was
that's
not a
issue.
successor to the PC Engine. It
Can't
had
too
so much
much
sense.
FMV.
Like they could have taken a cue from the Mega CD and the Sega CD with all these, you know,
Yeah.
FMV games that were on it. Shit ton of crap FMV games, and I don't know. I just think
even Battle Heat, the way you play it is
like I thought Battle Heat was like cool, like it looked cool.
Cool
when you watched
idea.
it, but when you
Like,
played it,
playability
it
is
just
like
weird.
It was like playing micro league pro wrestling on the Commodore 64. You
Go right
the
ahead.
different buttons you want to do, and they do the moves. It's like
Yeah, I definitely gave the FX a chance, and I just couldn't do it.
I never got around to that hot pickle. I forgot. I went up there for something.
hot pickle. Oh yeah.
I knew you had a pickle earlier.
I was-
Did
I
you
thought
eat
that's
that
like-
thing?
you ate one.
Huh?
You just went.
I started to
I
eat
thought
it.
you just deep throated it. And it was
Oh
gone.
yeah. I started to eat it and I seen myself on the stream. I'm like, oh man, I don't want to gift later. So I
Happy Console says, I am off, guys and gals. Have a good night.
actually I am off too.
Have a good night.
I'm gonna
Happy
take a
Console
lift back.
Gamer. Yeah, and we should probably end it because it's already been an hour and we're
But
1
it's
minute away
such a
from the
great
2 hour mark.
conversation.
Wow.
Yeah, it was good.
Do you guys enjoy the
I don't
conversation
think
out
I've
there?
ever had a stream where I get to
Watching
talk
your stream,
to
thanks so much.
It's funny.
18.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
getting as
Oh,
much as
yeah.
a VGST almost,
Yep.
pretty much.
Every time we start,
Yeah.
we're about to end it. We get more people jump in. That happened.
You're not even doing
yesterday.
giveaways.
Yesterday, remember we had like it fluctuated.
It went
was
from
like
13 to
12,
18,
13,
yeah.
and then went to 18, and it just kept fluctuating between like 15 and 18 for the longest time. Good combos, yes. Yeah, great combo. Learned a lot more. Man, we didn't even like scrape the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, we just,
Yeah.
we were just.
Well, you know what's really sad though is like
We
we're
got
all
some
hanging out now, and it feels like we do this all the time, but we don't
We
get to.
don't. I mean,
Yeah.
this is like a
Yeah.
once a year thing for us, you know. Or just, like,
But it's
all
great.
hanging
Like
out.
I look forward to.
Yeah, because the last time we had this kind of banter was at the Hyatt.
Yeah, that's good.
At the Hyatt. You weren't there.
No,
Yeah,
I
it
was
wasn't
not.
It was good. That was a good night.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good night.
I gotta get into that Primal Rage too. I've been so like, it's just right here. I want to play Primal Rage 2.
Go to that website and
Since
grab it.
I know you gave me all this stuff. You
Say
gave me all this
grab
stuff.
it or go to Galapagos. I played at Galapagos.
And like, if you guys haven't seen his video, Chris Tang's video on it, oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
yeah.
it's so good.
Joel's talking about Primal Rage 2. Well, if you want to learn about it, I have a video on YouTube. It's in the GDC channel. It's not my video, but it's me speaking on it. At Game
But
Developers
it's so
Conference.
crazy to see you doing the moves.
Oh yeah, like the actual
Like,
physical.
yeah, and then
motion
seeing
capture.
it in the
Yeah.
game.
That's cool.
And just going, man, it's just, it's mind blowing that, it's sad to me. It's sad to me that, cause what was it, Atari gets bought out by Midway,
Yeah.
and then Midway scraps it basically because they got Mortal Kombat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't want to release it, and it didn't do great in tests, so it was an easy project to kill off, even though they spent like millions of dollars developing it. And we had a successful toy line, and we had a cartoon development, we had all these other cool things. But they trashed out, they fired a lot of people, and they killed a lot of IPs. So.
John says, Joel, come to Chicago and we'll go play it for real.
True. And I go up that way too, so I should. But man, after, cause I've been doing Mortal Kombat panels for years
Oh,
now,
right.
right?
Yeah.
And
And
I've
those guys
talked,
are all out there.
I've talked to them, all the stories that they, all the stories they have about Midway that they can say on camera and all the stuff they tell me off camera.
Oh.
And I have very fond memories of Midway, but man, like, I just want to, I would love to slap them. You know what I mean? Like, something like that,
Yeah.
like the moves like that, and some of the moves that they did, that's just like, I'm sorry, man, that's a crooked company right there, man.
Yeah, that's shitty.
Hopefully I don't ever regret saying it, but they're gone now, but I mean,
Right.
it's just like,
It's like having a hero and then learning that they're.
yeah, never meet your heroes, right?
No, never.
Except for like,
We're doing-
except for the Mortal, like,
Yeah.
like Daniel Pacino and all that, they've been,
Yeah.
they're so amazing.
Yeah, there are some people that are so down to earth and like.
I was,
Exceed expectations.
I was
Yeah.
when I got invited to do the panel for the first time, the 25-year anniversary panel. I was insanely nervous to meet Daniel because if you look at the end credits of Mortal Kombat 1, it's Daniel Pacino. So like I know this name, I've lived with this name my whole life, and I'm like, okay, I want to meet this guy. And the fear was, oh man, what if he's just a tool, right?
Yeah, it would be sex.
Yeah, but oh man, the complete opposite.
That's
And
awesome.
I was just,
You left that.
sorry, I don't even know how we got through.
Why I was
Weird time I
hung-
never never
Daniel
meet.
Yeah,
Pacino's
okay.
why I was hungover half the day today.
Oh, okay, here's a funny story.
Jeez.
So like I see Daniel, and I did I did a panel today on Monterey with Paul, who did the logo for Mortal Kombat, right? This is his, I just found this out today, this is his first panel ever.
This is his
His first con ever,
his
I'm his
first
first
con.
moderator.
Yeah.
And, so I see them out partying
That was
at the Cobra, and I'm like, oh man, dude. And I go to get him for his panel, no one's around.
like this is literally it. I was like,
Sergio
it was Sergio.
Yeah.
Like,
That's funny.
like that was last night. Why I had a hangover today? Like at the beginning of the Tetris.
Awesome.
So like, the panel's about to start in 1 minute.
Yeah.
And I go to the table, dude, Tim Boom Shakalaka's not there,
Oh, no.
Daniel's not there, no one. There's not even a trace of them. There's no signs, no nothing. And I was just like, Daniel. And you know, he always goes out partying with
Yeah.
people, man.
Now
And-
Tim left early. He had
Did
his
he?
son out, so he wasn't out partying really. He just came out from the neighborhood.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, they were all gone. And did you know, this is a cool fact, and it'll be on my, maybe I shouldn't even spoil it, because it'll be on the episode, but he said something about Mortal Kombat I'd never heard before. And I was just like, are you kidding me? I don't
Spill
wanna,
your
I'll
beans.
spill it later. I don't want to spill it on the
Nah,
stream, because I want people if they're, you know,
Watch.
and I was just like, how come we've never told that? And he goes, well, this is my first panel I've ever done.
So if you guys want to hear the rest of this
And
story,
there were
make sure you're
NDAs and stuff
subscribed
like
to
Oh
that.
yeah.
And I was blown away. I was like, that's
He
crazy.
may have told me the drunken story version. He
Yeah,
told me,
oh yeah.
like, 'cause he's involved. He did artwork for Satan's Hollow as well, and
Yeah.
like 15 other games, and Men in Black and Jurassic Park 2.
Huh.
Like, lots.
But, yeah.
You guys like.
And he said,
Out there.
this is the first time I've ever told this story in public, ever. So,
Yeah.
And I was- 'cause I'm like-
I wonder if it's.
like, I thought I knew everything about Mortal Kombat. What are you telling me right now?
Oh, he had some passionate talks when he started drinking. It was,
Did?
oh, it was really cool.
He loved it. He's like, I could do this every weekend.
Yeah.
Everyone said that though. So they do it every weekend.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden they're like, man, time.
I should go, guys. I'm sorry.
no, we're good. We're probably gonna. I'm just telling people that they should subscribe to Media Glitch if you want to hear the
Oh,
rest of
that's-
this story.
That's nice.
Yes. The media glitch man.
Oh my goodness.
My bum hurts from.
Oh.
Bring it in.
It's good
Walking
seeing you,
back to
man.
my hotel.
I gotta take a lift.
We will, finish our story and
Oh,
then
yeah.
Piggy later.
Okay, sir.
Oh yeah,
It was
for
a
sure,
really good
Chris.
time.
For sure. I gotta get you out to Albuquerque at some point.
Yeah, you want me to come to Las Vegas now too, so that's just
Yeah.
like, alright, let me finish my game, then I'll do a lot more traveling.
Or we just go, all of us go to Japan like Wade said.
Everybody just goes to Japan.
Right?
Yep.
Japan.
Are we still streaming?
Yeah, we are.
Oh yeah, we're streaming. That's okay. Ben, there you go.
That'll hold it down while
Perfect.
Give the audience something to enjoy while.
Alright, boys.
Alright, man.
Till the next time.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Pleasure,
So Jeff, you're,
Oh, you know,
you,
Pickle.
next year.
I do. That's what I'm
Your
coming back for.
pickle.
I want my pickle.
Get your
Get your
pickle.
pickle.
I think that's it, right? I bought some chicharrones, but
2 hours.
Get your
Did you have a
chicharrones.
charger? Did you get your charger?
All right.
Yeah, I did, I got
Should I-
it. Yeah, I guess we're disbanding now.
Yeah.
Alright.
All right, guys.
But,
We're gonna go ahead and end this stream here. We thank
Thanks for joining
everybody
us.
for stopping by. And oh, it's over there. I'm looking at the screen. But thank you everybody for stopping by. This is the whole crew. We will see you next year.
Later.
Bye, everybody.
Ugh.